Supposed to be live. So booted me out and took me back to another screen and paused the live.
It is freezing and buffering, but it's coming back slowly. Yep, there we go.
All right. So yeah, not quite sure what was going on there.
That's all right.
That's this phone. I should start doing this on the other phone and see how it works, whether that works better on TikTok than this one. Because it seems that one works better than this one. Okay, so welcome everybody. Smash those hearts when you pop in. And there's just you and you right now.
So share it out. Yeah.
Share. Shared that out. A banner came down and it stopped me from hitting post, and I had to keep the live pause because I was not there. All right, so welcome everybody. Now I think I'm sitting up too straight. I don't know, I kind of like it though. All right, welcome everybody, welcome in. Share this out, right? Ask me your spiritual questions. I should see if I can put that up on the frickin' screen again, right? Sorry about that train going by down the road. All right, welcome. Hit those hearts, smash those hearts, and ask me your spiritual questions. Otherwise, I'll just start talking about stuff like I normally do. Works better if I just start talking about things.
It does. Talk about that thing that everyone else is talking about right now.
There's a lot of things that everyone else is talking about right now. Did you hear my wife in the background talk about that thing that everybody else is talking about right now? Everybody's talking about everything right now. A lot of people talking about all kinds of different things. Welcome in. Eduardo, that's my middle name. Edward is my middle name. Eduardo, welcome. You probably already bounced. You were here for a second and ran away, probably. I don't know. If you are still here, smash those hearts and ask me your spiritual questions. Okay. So, what are you guys up to today, right? Were you guys in the live yesterday? If any of you were in the live yesterday, you saw us talking about a whole bunch of different things about how to hack this matrix and get out of here, for one. How that you're being distracted by this matrix and the people who think they own this place. Thank you very much. Thank you, baby, for that. And then also myself. Thank you. That's my wife on my account in the audience sending me that. Jason, welcome. Smash those hearts and ask me your spiritual questions. So you were being controlled by these algorithms. This one right here on this TikTok, the algorithm that is this place, and the algorithm that the controllers have decided to use against you. That's all those people who think they own this planet. We know who they are. They are that 1% that have all the money, that own all the corporations, who think they own all the land that we're living on. They think that they own this body, your body, and everybody else's body. But they don't, do they? But they don't, right? And they're starting to realize that, because the amount of people on this earth that are waking up and going, yeah, no, go to your room, children, is getting larger and larger. Looking around at all these people and all these corporations and all these countries, and they're sitting around there, right? Uncle Patty's, like the name. Good name. Morris, welcome. Smash those hearts and ask me your spiritual questions. Okay, so we're here to talk about that stuff. Do you guys want to know? I should have grabbed that book and brought it over here, so I'd have a book to wave at people. So if you guys want to know how to get out of here, you just got to look around. You guys should know what's going on, right? There's Brooke walking around the background. My wife just moved into the background. There she is. Wave at the camera. There she is.
Oh, crikey.
Crikey, she says, when they're looking at her hair. Okay. Right. Welcome in, everybody. Ask me your spiritual questions. What do you guys want to know about? Do you guys want to know how to get out of here and hack this matrix and get out of here so you can go home? Are you guys tired of being here? Right? Let me ask you some serious questions. When you look around at this world, do you feel like this place is not your home? Yeah. And that there's somewhere else in the universe that you're actually from, but you seem to be here when you open up your eyes, and you like this place, except for all the crazy stuff going on with evil people running it, right? But you just look around, you look up at the stars, and you think to yourself, that's where I belong. How many of you out there, show of hands, how many of you out there do that? And you look around and you think it's very possible that I'm from a different place, and you look up to the stars, and there's somewhere up at those stars that you look at that you think you might be from. There's a constellation, and you know the name of that constellation, and you think, I think I'm from that place, not this one, right? How many of you people out there are doing that? How many of you people out there are looking around at things like social media, legacy news media, on television, politicians, maybe even the religions, and you're going, what is going on? What is this insanity? Because this is not right. This is not normal and it's not right. How many of you are doing that? Show of hands, champions. Show of hands. Thank you very much for that. My wife is spamming some diamonds and some things for the live here, right? So how many of you guys are thinking that? How many of you guys are looking around and you're thinking it's just something's wrong? Something's wrong and I'm tired and I've been here a very long time and I know that I'm supposed to be somewhere else and I'm wanting to get out of here. I want this to be over. How many of you guys are thinking that? Show of hands, champions. How many of you guys are thinking that? Okay? You know why you're thinking that? Because there's a very good possibility that you're not from here. It's a very good possibility that the soul that's inside of your body is from somewhere else. You just don't remember it, but you kind of do, don't you? Some of you are starting to think it. Some of you are looking up to the stars and you're just wondering, I know that there's something wrong. I know that this isn't right. I feel it. I've been here for a long time, right? There's a hand up, right, Trace? With the hand up and a thumbs up, okay? Why is that? It's because you're actually in a matrix, right? You hear these people try to tell you, well, you're in a prison where there's some aliens got you. That's just not true, okay? That's not true. You are in a matrix, but it's not a prison that some third dimensional people came flying by and grabbed you up and created a prison and stuck you in it. That's just not true, okay? You are in a matrix and you were supposed to be in this matrix because, believe it or not, you volunteered to be in this matrix, okay? As crazy as that sounds, as crazy as that sounds, you actually volunteered for this, okay? You just don't remember it. And it's okay that you don't remember it because you're not supposed to until you do, right? So, hold up, ain't you Nathaniel B? No, I'm not sure who Nathaniel B is, Ja. I don't know who that is, honestly. No, my name is Leonard O'Neill. In fact, I wrote a book. I can show it to you. My name is Leonard O'Neill, and I wrote a book. It's called The Reality About Reality, Returning to the Old Ways. And it's about spirituality, true spirituality, not a religion, because religion recruits you. Spirituality waits for you to find it, right? This guy has lost it. Oh, okay. Well, some people, it depends on what you think. You might think I'm crazy. You might think I've lost it, right? Depends on where you are in your vibration, my friend. If you're awake enough, you won't think I'm crazy. But if you're not, you will think, whoever that Nathaniel guy, you'll think I'm as crazy as him, right? So it just depends on where you are in your vibration. The closer you are to opening your third eye and remembering who you are, the more I won't sound crazy to you. The more that you're locked into the third dimensional 3D reality, the illusion that is this so-called reality, the more that you look at that and think that that's what actually is and that you're the thinking mind or that you're the ego or you don't even realize you have an ego because you think that's you, then you'll think I'm crazy. Some of my own family members think I'm crazy, okay? Some of you out there probably have the same thing going on. Some of your friends and family members may think you're crazy because you're going, I know we're not from here. I know we're from somewhere else. At least I am. And I don't know what's going on. That's because you have this veiling. You have this third eye that's closed. So you can't remember who you are, okay? Can't remember who you were. That's normal and you're supposed to have that happen to you, okay? That's actually normal. When you're in third dimension, that's where we are. When you're in third dimension, you don't get to remember who you are until you wake up and actually do. So normally it takes between 7 and 10 lifetimes from the first time you get here. Then you go and you start remembering who you are because you start asking questions instead of just following orders, okay? Thank you for that. Bingo! Thank you, 28. What is that, 28 what? What is that name? That was kind of a cool name. Thank you for that.
Message from Spirit.
Okay, so any message from spirits, from spirit, I am actually talking to you as Kelto. Kelto is my higher self. I am channeling Kelto from the 11th density, the 11th dimension, speaking to you right now. I don't have that written up on the screen. I probably should, but I'm on my cell phone because TikTok wants you to jump through hoops on your cell phone, not on a computer using even their app, which is weird. Okay, so yeah, I can give a collective message to you guys. That's what I'm here for. Individual readings or messages has to be done on an individual basis, but I can give you guys collective answers. Like if you want to know how to get out of here, I can tell you that. If you want to know what's going on, I can tell you that. But if you want to know whether you should take that flight to New York tomorrow, I don't do that stuff live on a show like this. If you want to know if you're going to fall in love with that guy or that woman, that's not who I am. I'm here to tell you guys what's happening to you, what's happening because of you, and what you're doing here and what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, so you're not going crazy. You are stuck, and that does happen sometimes. But you're supposed to be here stuck for between 7 to 10 lifetimes. In that time period, you're supposed to wake up and realize that you are an immortal soul. First, I have the immortal spirit, then I am the immortal spirit. That's where you're supposed to normally go. But the problem in a place like this one, and specifically this one, is that the bad people, those people that are in service to self, that 14% of this population of Earth, of that 14%, 1% of the population learned what I know right now, what I just told you. And they decided that they could make everybody stay stuck here by just not allowing you to see the information that allows you to learn these things, okay? So 2036 equals cataclysm. Not true. 2036 actually equals utopia. 2036 equals moving into 4D. No cataclysm. The world's not coming to an end. That's actually just a program that they're trying to sell you because the people who think that they're in charge, those people want that to happen because they understand this. Your focus determines your reality, okay? The collective focus of the collective consciousness of me, you, and everyone else makes this place the way it is. So they're distracting you and getting you to believe that they own this place, so you believe that. Oh, I'm not going to vote because it doesn't matter what I do because they're in charge anyways. That's a thing that they made you believe, so that you wouldn't vote, so that they could just keep their power, okay? Why does everything suck? Everything sucks because they got a hold of, thank you for that, thank you for the heart. They got to smash those hearts, people, smash those hearts and smash those roses. Thank you for that rose. So they got a hold of the information, and why it sucks here is because they actually are distracting you away from the information that you need. Okay, and that information that you need is in everything. It's inside of you. It's in everything. There's people that are writing it in movies. There's people that are writing it in songs. There's people that are writing it in books. Everything that you can imagine, people are encoding that information. You just don't see it because they're not allowing you to notice it, because they're keeping you at a low vibration and living in fear. Okay, they're painting all of this as something to fear, right? Fear the other, fear people who don't look like you, fear people who aren't like you. And what do you like? Well, you're like what we tell you to be like. Fear the people from another country. Fear the people from another world. They don't exist. They're demons, right? Don't let anybody talk about spirituality. The religions are telling you that if anybody talks about spirituality and it's not us, they're the devil. Okay, so why is that? Because they're not allowing you to see what you're supposed to see, even in their Bibles. Okay, and how do I know that? I am a minister in 4 different religions, and I am a theologian. A theologian is someone who studies religion and philosophy, okay? Spirituality. I have 5 spiritual titles, 4 religious titles, and I was knighted by the Holy Roman Catholic Church. So it's not like I'm coming at you like some dude off the street that's like, no, man, it's the man, peace. And there it's the religions, man. I'm coming to you from the standpoint of a preacher, okay? I am a pastor, and I'm telling you that what they're doing is controlling things, okay? They're controlling things by just controlling your focus. Keep you looking over here, look over there. What's that? You want this, you want that, you want money, you want power, you want fame, you want likes. Quick, slide up. And meanwhile, these algorithms, like on this place, the algorithm of this place, the algorithms on every single platform give you what you like. So if you hit like on something and then you swipe up and you hit like on a bunch of different things, you're going to get all of those things. But if you hit like on one subject over and over, like little kitties blowing up grandma with a bazooka, you're going to get nothing but videos like that. This place, this reality works the same way. They've based the algorithms of all of these apps on the algorithm that is this matrix that you're living in. This place gives you what you like. Your focus determines your reality. So if you make bad decisions and you think that you're a victim and you say, I'm a product of society and society's running me over, that's what's going to happen to you. If you say, no, I'm not a product of society, I am a survivor because this place is not going to beat me, I can do whatever I want, guess what? You're going to be more successful. You ever hear that saying, you can do anything you put your mind to? Okay? That is true because your focus determines your reality. The longer that you focus on something, the more it's going to become real. I want a Lamborghini, you can get a Lamborghini. I want a BMW, you can get a BMW. Why? Because the more you focus on it, the more you're going to take actions to get it, and the more you're going to manifest that because you're going to manifest a way to get it. Okay, otherwise you're just going to sit and dream. Then you become a dreamer. If you're not manifesting something, you're a dreamer, and all you're doing is asking for something. I want this. I think I want that. How do I get that? I'm not wanting to do any work. I want to sit down and do it. It should be just given to me. If you sit down and wait for something to be given to you, the only thing that's going to be given to you is nothing, because you're not asking for anything, you're not taking anything, and you're not working on anything, okay? Comes back to the old thing, life is what you make of it. Exactly. It's based on the one person's perspective. Absolutely. Okay? Your perspective, your focus determines your reality. So if you think you're having a crappy life, you're actually telling yourself that your life is crappy, and your life is going to be crappy. If you think you're having a good life and you're telling yourself you're having a good life, then your life is going to be a good life and you're not going to have a crappy life, okay? So you have to realize those things. That's the secret to the world. The secret to the universe is that you have to pay attention to that, right? If you know you're not here and you want to chat, oh, that's my wife putting that up for us. Yeah, if you guys know that you're not from here and you guys want to chat, we're actually setting up a Zoom meeting for this so that you guys can talk when we're not on an algorithm that's being run by a communist Chinese government that won't let me say certain words without getting in trouble. And the one where they're trying to convince everybody to tell on their comrades for doing anything that's against what the state says, okay? And it's no different in the United States because they're trying to do the same thing there. Words that they don't want you to say, okay? So I can tell you what collectively people can know, and I can give you that information, okay? So I can give you that here, but I have to be careful of the way I word it because certain words attract certain attention, okay? So you need to look at that, okay? So what exactly, that's why, if you look at those dusty old tomes that you guys don't want to have a part of because you think these religions are askew, because they are. Any religion is. Religion recruits you, spirituality waits for you to find it. That's a quote from this book right here that I wrote, okay? So if you guys are interested, you can take a look at that. You can get it online. The Reality About Reality, Returning to the Old Ways by me, Leonard O'Neill. You guys can take a look at that. You can get it on ebook, Kindle. That will only cost you like $4 or $5, okay, depending on where in the world you are. Or you can listen to my podcast, okay? Because with all my heart of hearts, knowing that at the source, Creator didn't want this for us. That's correct. What Creator wanted for us, when this place was created, my friend, the Creator wanted us to have an organic experience of whatever we wanted to have. Okay? So none of this is actually happening to you. All of it's happening for you. So we were veiled. The law of chaos veiled us so we didn't remember anything before this. We didn't remember that we were part of the Creator, part of the creation itself. Okay? So they don't want you to know that. The Creator doesn't want you to know that. Why? It's not a prison thing. It's not a prison sentence. The Creator doesn't want you to know that so that you can actually have an organic experience of living, loving, caring, going to war, unaliving, all of those things. So you can have that organically, and each one of us can have an individual one so that we can better ourselves and learn. So we're supposed to get lost and not know we're lost and run out into the weeds and not know what we're doing and eventually find our way back to the source, okay? But what has happened is in some places, people who are in service to self, evil, 1%, you know who I'm talking about, the powers that should not be, I call them the controllers because we don't want to name names so that we don't get their attention. Those people figured out that if they just distract you and keep you from finding that way or looking at that way, guess what? You don't go anywhere and you stay here. That's what's happened, okay? So what's happened is these people are distracting you, me, and everybody else with these algorithms, with television, with movies, with sports, with all this stuff, anything. It doesn't matter what it is. They're trying to find something that will distract your attention. That's why they love these apps, because these apps will give you everything that you want. But it also give you what you need if you're looking for it, okay? Thank you for that, Crawford, thank you for that. You just have to hone your focus because your focus determines your reality. If you have no focus and you're just going flip, 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 swipe, 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 whatever app you're on, swiping left and right and up and down, then your attention is about 5 seconds or less. And then you're going to stop at something and you're going to laugh and you're going to flip. And before you know it, you've been there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Okay? Right? Yeah, it doesn't help with the masses clarifying our bodies from calcifying our body from or calcifying our body from an end. Right. Well, they're doing that. They're calcifying our third eye. Well, all of that's being done on purpose as well, my friend. They're doing that because they don't want, if they shut off the eye further and they calcify your third eye even further, your pituitary gland, fluoride in the water and putting it in your teeth and telling you it's healthy for your teeth, and you're brushing your teeth with it, and you got aluminum in the deodorant that you're using, and the aluminum gets into your body.
And all
the aluminum goes in, and all the cans that we drink and eat out of that are aluminum that goes into your brain and gets stuck in the plaque that's in your brain, and that short circuits your brain, doesn't let it think properly, and then you calcify your third eye and your pituitary gland with all that fluoride. Yeah, they're doing this and they know what they're doing. Why are they doing that? Because it keeps you asleep. It keeps you locked into third dimensional reality. Okay. And then they're easier to control. Then they preach fear to you, and it's easier to control.
Of the air with food microplastics in our clothing and many other things.
Right. Don't forget the poison. And then think about all the plastics that are in the ocean that is now in our water and our food supply, the little teeny microparticles. Right. We're going to go down in history. You know how they had the Bronze Age, right? And that you have that, and you have the different things in history. We're going to go down in history as the plastic age, because there's so much plastic in everything that it's going to be in our DNA, and people 100,000 years from now are going to dig up our bones and go, look at all the plastic and microparticles in the DNA of these people. What did they do to themselves? Right? We don't know what's going to happen. All of that is being designed on purpose for us. It's being designed to keep us from waking up. It's being designed, and they know about it, and they're keeping us in this low vibration by not giving us a full education, not teaching us about what we're supposed to know. They're controlling all of those religions so that they don't teach you about the way. Okay? There's a few that are resisting and have for a long time because they're not controlled by the West. Okay, so if you look at Taoism and Buddhism, they're still teaching you a way to get out of here. In fact, Taoism means the way. The Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu means the way. It's the book of the way. When Jesus was here and he was teaching his disciples, do you know what they called it? They didn't call it Christianity. They called it the way. And it was a way of learning how to get out of here. And then it was turned into a religion. And then that religion was controlled by a guy named Constantine in the year 329. And he took out 68 books, all the books that told you about the way. And what he has them teaching now in Christianity across the world is what? The book of Romans. You know why? Because he was a Roman Caesar, Constantine. And he's teaching you the book of Romans, teaching you how to be a good little Roman and to be a good little citizen and come to church and pay your tithing and sit here and wait. Because then they changed the Bible and said, Jesus said, wait here, I'm going to get a truck. He never said that. There's nowhere in the Bible that he said that. Okay. So you guys can look that up. I've had people come in who are preachers and they said, tell me that. And then they start up with that. Well, God said that he was going to come as a thief in the night. Read that over again, because there was nothing in there that said, I'm going to come and get you. And I don't know, you don't know when I'm going to come back. But that's what they use. That conversation was about your awakening. That conversation was about your third eye. It was about the unveiling. You can read that in that conversation. And then Jesus said to them that God said he will come as a thief in the night, meaning your third eye being awakened cannot be predicted because it's individual to each person. And it's going to happen when you least expect it. That's what all that meant. Not wait here, I'm going to get a truck. Not wait here, I'm going to go get a bus. None of that. When Jesus was here, they're teaching you that he was here and he was resurrected. You should read the actual Bible. They're teaching you that he was here, he was resurrected, and he said, Doubting Thomas, touch my wounds. And then they teach you right then that he just left and never came back and said, wait here, I'm going to go get help. Okay? If you go to the next chapter after Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, go to the next chapter. Okay? When you start reading that, you're going to find out that, wait, he was here for 40 days teaching people. 40 days. He didn't just take off. He was here for 40 days before he left. Okay, walking around teaching people. Should look that up. And then the people were walking around teaching people, all of them, all of the apostles, not just 12, there was more than that. Okay, so they're editing what they're telling you, and it's even in the Bible itself. You can look this stuff up, read it for yourself. Okay, it's in there. Anything to do with religion and third eye is bullstein. I manipulate atoms for a living. Okay, so that's just not true. Religion is not bullstein. Religion is actually a spiritual ways that have been controlled and turned into a religion, and they have semantical things to tell you how to live your life in that religion. But in every single religion is still the way to get to heaven. Okay, so your third eye, if you don't know what your third eye is, my friend, you need to swipe up and go to a different live, because you're too far into 3D and you're just following what people tell you, and you have, and you know what I mean? So I don't know who you are, and I'm not sure. And then my wife is saying that you're a follower, that you actually follow us. But if you're thinking that religion and third eye is there something wrong with it, then you got to really pay attention, bro, because it is, right? If your gland is calcified, when you're unalived, do you still go to the healing center? Yes, you do. It has anything to do with what's happening to you in the physical. When you have an immortal spirit, you are an immortal spirit. Okay, so whatever's going on to you in this physical brain down here doesn't matter. When this life ends, your immortal soul, your immortal spirit, is taken to the place of healing. And then you're healed, and that way you remember who you are. The veiling is lifted, and you remember who you are. And then you go to the place of reflection, and you design a new life, and you come back down. Okay. Apocalypse can also translate into the awakening. That's exactly what it means. People don't realize that, because they're trying to get everybody to believe that if you look at Revelation, in the, say, the Christian religion, and you say revelation, people go, oh, revelation, that means the world's coming to an end. No, revelation means illumination. It means to revel in something, to become enlightened, right? So they don't want you to know that, though. They teach you that those words mean, they change the words that you can use and the definitions of the words, and they make them sound like there's something wrong with them, like that word esoteric. Okay, that word esoteric, and they tell you that esoteric means secret, it means cult, and esoteric actually means within. Okay.
So for the live, people want to ask sensitive questions. Please talk about the.
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm being produced by my wife over here. She's telling me what I should be talking about.
No. Someone asked, may I ask something that may be a bit sensitive?
Oh, okay. She said, so I didn't see that. She said, someone asked and said, may I ask about something that may be a bit sensitive? You can ask and I'll try to answer it. But if it's too sensitive, this is what she was telling me. If it's too sensitive, know that we're putting together, Merlin and Maeve is putting together Zoom conversations on Zoom off of platforms like this that are being monitored and controlled by algorithms and people that don't want us to say certain things. So you can ask the question, right? And if it's something that's too sensitive, I'll tell you I can't answer that here. And we can have that conversation in a Zoom call, because we're putting together Zoom calls for higher vibrational conversations that we can't have on these algorithms, so that we can talk and actually talk to one another, and I can give you more details. Also, the smaller the group, the more information I can give the group, because I can only tell you the collective consciousness of the average person. Like, there's the people that are in this group right now. I can give you guys more information than I could the entire world. However, this is being broadcast to the entire world. So I have an algorithm of the world itself that is allowing me to say what I can and what I can't say. Okay. That's part of the laws of the universe. But because that you humans on this earth are so actual close to being woken up or awake en masse, that I can actually even reveal to you that I am talking to you from the 11th dimension. And I can reveal all of this information. So please ask that question, right? If someone ended their own soul in the physical, what happens? If you're talking about the soul being, if you think the soul is the physical body, then nothing. It's just the physical body just is a vessel. And the physical body ceases when the life ends in the physical body. And then your immortal soul, which can never, ever cease, no matter what anybody tells you, it cannot cease. That immortal soul of yours, or the immortal spirit that is you, is then removes itself from the body. And then someone will come and collect you so that you make sure you go to the right place. Most of the time, you instinctively go to the place of healing. That's just an instinct. Some people have those NDEs, events, near unalived events, where they remember going to a place of light and having conversations. Would you say they reincarnate? It depends on what you mean by reincarnate, but they re-enter to a different body. When you go there, you go to the place of reflecting and you design your new life. You design what it is that once you're reflecting, you say, did I learn the things that I wanted to learn and experience the things that I wanted to experience? No, okay, then I want to redo these courses, basically, to use the vernacular of a school or a college. You wanted to redo these courses, and then you design a life, and then you literally lower your vibration again and put a part of your essence into a physical body. When that moment of conception, you move into that physical body and then start the process, and then you're veiled again, so you don't remember. You become conscious. You become conscious inside the womb, and you're growing, and you start realizing some of you don't remember that either until later on. You forget about it. Okay, so Vegas, what's up, cousin? Wow, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you came in here and found me on this is my wife and I's company. I think you saw that in one of the groups, and probably because Brooke posted this in one of the groups. Welcome, cousin. Glad to see you here. You're welcome, Star. I'm going to call you Star, or should I call you Twinkle, right? Like twinkles because you have like twinkling stars. Okay, so thank you, right? I popped up. Thank you very much. Well, I'm glad to see you that you're on TikTok and that you're over here. I'm waking people up one person at a time. So ask me your questions, guys. It's what I'm here to do. I'm here to answer those questions, okay? I'm literally channeling my higher self, okay? So you guys need to realize that. I am Kelto, and that is my higher self, okay? And I'm literally channeling Kelto to you from the 11th dimension. Actually, density, because dimensionality is this physical place. Density is where your soul or your spirit actually resides. It's a place that's alongside or above this. It's kind of hard to explain, right? I was always told not to say your real names. That's entirely up to each individual person. They don't want you to say your real name because they don't want you to tell people or expand your consciousness, right? So we need to turn away from the light. No, that's one of the lies that they're telling you here, because they're telling you that you're in a trap, and they're telling you that there's a trap out there to get your immortal soul to zap it, or they lie to you and tell you you're on a secret mission, or they lie to you and tell you that that you're stuck here. All of those things are actual truths that's actually happening, but they're trying to get you to look away from that. They want you to run away from anyone who's trying to collect you, because they're trying to get you lost so that you can't recycle and come back here. Or they'll slow it down as long as possible because they don't want you in this body, and they don't want you remembering who you are. Trying to slow you down. So what if you didn't want to come back and you don't want to design your life? You actually signed a contract to be here. You don't know that. You signed a contract to be here, so you can only leave when you actually learn the things that you said you were going to learn. And here's one that's crazier. If you're a wanderer, if you're one of the souls who actually came down here to help the people, you signed a contract for either 77,000 years or 130,000 years, because that's the contract that you sign, and you dedicate yourself to make sure that you're not a fly-by-night. You're actually here to help. So if you signed one of those contracts to do that, you're stuck here for the duration, just like the rest of us, my friend. But if you're one of the people that is tired and you want to get out of here, this is why we're here. We're here to help you do that. If you're tired and you want to go home and you don't want to come back here anymore, then the quickest way to do that is to wake yourself up and realize and to make sure that you've learned what you're supposed to. And once you wake up and realize that you are an immortal spirit, and then you start accessing your own Akashic records, you can, in one lifetime, if you wake up, you've hit level 28 or 29 of level 3. And therefore, you can actually then access that stuff while you're down here and go, okay, I need to learn this, 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 and this. And then at the end of this lifetime, I get to go home, okay? But you have to actually reset this place, or at least reset yourself, so that you can actually graduate when you're supposed to. You can get harvested when you're supposed to, okay? So you have to look at that. So my NDE has shown me that part of the task is engaging in the human experience, right?
And not remembering.
And not remembering. That is truly what you're here to do. So when you went there, you were told the part of you not remembering is vital. And because it is. The part of you not remembering is vital because that way you can have an organic experience. Because if you remember who you are, like I do, I remember the creation. I remember being created. I remember every lifetime that I've ever been in. You're not supposed to remember that. I remember that because I came here to help you. So it's vital for me to actually remember all this so that I can tell you these things. But you're supposed to be waking up to this, okay? You're supposed to be having those experiences, okay? Can I unsign,
and
right?
She said, am I one of the ones that came here? Did I? And I said, you know the answer to that.
And she said, can I
and
unsign?
Then she said, can I unsign? Yeah.
So, well,
don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, don't be afraid of it because this place is what you make of it, okay? So it's only a place where you feel stuck if you're thinking you're stuck. You're not actually stuck because time doesn't mean anything except for here, and it's a perception. Time is the distance it takes the physical to go from one plane to another or one place to another, okay? So time is the distance that it takes you to move the physical form in this so-called reality. But it doesn't exist when you get outside of this reality. Time exists in first 1D, 2D, 3D, okay?
She says she needs to stop being so sensitive. She's an empath.
Right? Vega says, I am a fill in the blank,
too.
Right? Yeah.
I am super sensitive
I
and I
am.
had to learn how to protect myself. If you were oversensitive,
can you hear Brooke?
Come and talk to us. You're an empath, an absolute empath, and you need to control it, darling. Don't let it take control. We can help you with that.
Right? So, yeah, right? I need tips. Well, that's okay. We can help you with that, honestly.
You're showing the mess on our table. What's wrong with you?
Right? I know she says, and you're showing the mess of our table, the coffee table, because I ate breakfast and I left my bowl there. Oh my God. The bowl is sitting there and there's napkins all over all over the coffee table. She's giving me a bad time about that, right? This place is good. This place is good, but it also is dense. Well, they're physically dense. Yes, it is. I'm leaving the loop once everything releases. What this place? Yeah. Well, once we. Well, I mean, we're all going to do that. We're all going to be doing that, right? Just so you know that this is going to be the last time, guys. This is going to be the last time you're going to have to do this. All right. For those of you who have been here for a very, very long time, this life will be the last one that you have to do. The only people who will still be here will be the ones that are already out of this audience because they think I'm cuckoo, because they're very, 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 how many times can I say that? 3D, because they're not ready yet. They're on life 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay. Because normally it's about 7 to 10 lifetimes before you start really waking up. Okay. And so if you don't think that what I'm saying is absolutely insane and you think, okay, maybe he's talking about something that sounds like it could be legit, you're one of those people that have been here for a very long time and you're on the verge of waking up, but their distractions are what's keeping you here. That's it. Okay. Once we all focus on, they do not have power over us. They do not own this place. They do not own all of the land. Okay. No one does. Once we all, now that means that we have to be over 51% of the earth. Wake up to that realization, their power ends. Okay. Then what they're doing now is their death throes. Thank you, Tanisha. Welcome. We were just in Tanisha's live a little while ago. Tanisha was live and we were in her live when she was talking about the same thing that I'm talking about. So you guys should follow Tanisha. You see her in the live right there. Follow her. And when she goes live, you should go into her live and listen to what she has to say as well. Okay. She's one of our sisters that is preaching it. Okay. So you have to realize once our focus determines our reality. Okay. So the first step in avoiding a trap is knowing of its existence. So you have to realize that the trap that you're in is just a trap of the mind. That's it. Okay. The trap that you're in, let me say that again. Thank you for the rose and thank you for that little kitty with the thumbs up. That's cool. Like that. Thank you for that, Candace. Right. And for that bang. Thank you, Candace, for that. So guys, it's a trap of the mind and they're trapping you by not letting you know that. They're taking the knowledge away from you by going, what's that? Look over there. What's that? Look over there. You want likes. You want money. You want fame. You want power, don't you? Swipe up, swipe up, swipe up, swipe up. Right? That's what they're doing to you. They're going, oh, look, here's the song. Oh, look, here's a kitty blowing up grandma. Oh, look. That's what they want you to do. Why? Because when you're doing all of that, you're not looking at spirituality. You're not looking at within. You're not looking in a mirror at yourself. You're not being honest with yourself. And if you're yelling at someone else because you picked a side in that religion called politics, where the people who are orchestrating it are two wings of the same bird being paid by the same people who think they own this place, and they have you yelling across the aisle at somebody else, or they're going, look, you're white and that one's black. Hate that one. Be afraid of that one. That one's coming to get you. Look, that one's brown. That one's coming to get you too. That one's yellow. We don't like the yellow. We don't like the blue ones either, nor do we like the purple ones. And guess what they're doing when you do that? They're dividing you. Have you ever heard that term, confuse, divide, and conquer? Right? Sun Tzu wrote about that in The Art of War. Confuse, divide, and conquer. They're confusing you with everything. Okay. And that, and even when you go on like Google or any of these places where you do a search engine search, they're confusing you by not letting you know how that works. I talked about this yesterday. If you're a company, if I'm a company and I have a product and I want that product to be shown to people, so I can go to Google and pay them money to make sure that when someone punches in that product, that my product, my website is higher up on the platform of where I want mine to be number one. Well, there's somebody that's already paying $400,000 to have theirs number one. I'll pay $420,000. And then you move up and they get bumped down to 2. So when you do a search, that comes up first. It doesn't mean that it's right. So the algorithms that are now giving you information when you say something like, what is the rainfall in the rainforest in Brazil on average? What you're going to get is different websites where they're talking about that. Doesn't mean that they're all right. And when you use AI is going to correlate the first 10. It's going to look at the first 10. It's going to read what is the synopsis of that information from those first 10 sites. Doesn't matter that they've been fact checked or not. Doesn't matter if they're real. It only matters that they're the top 10. Then it references that to you, top 10 websites, and then it gives you a synopsis. That synopsis is based on what the most popular opinion is of that, not what is the exact real empirical proof of that. You need to realize that. Look into it, because AI will give you, these are the sites that it referenced, and you can click on that little thing and it'll open up all the sites that AI actually referenced, and you can go and read that stuff, because that's what they used to do. When you looked at Google, they would come up with 10,000 sites that have that information. And what do? You look at the top 2 or 3. Most of the time you look at the top 1 these days. And now you don't even do that because you have AI do it for you. And AI just gives you a synopsis of what the most popular idea on the internet is about the subject you looked up. They're controlling your focus by they don't even have to give you the truth, because you're already accepting what they're telling you as the truth, and it's people's opinion. And if you look at that, it'll be like Reddit, Facebook, and things like that. Those are people's opinions. That's just some dude saying something like me, right? That doesn't mean that it's actual 100% truth. I would tell you, don't even believe me. Look it up for yourself. Okay? Honest to God. So I clicked on this and it said, live ended, was suspicious. What? That is suspicious, brother. Right? You clicked on that and it said that. I'm not sure what's going on. And yeah, that might be, somebody was in here yesterday that had their name as moderator and moderator notification. And I think it's in here now, right? Isn't moderator right there? Moderator. No.
Notification. His name wasn't. He had the bell.
He had the bell as his icon, and it said notification, and then he was typing in stuff like, "You need to end this live now." And I was like, "What the heck is going on with that?" Right? How can someone own the world? That's a good question, but they want you to believe they do. Okay, they want you to believe that they do, because they claim land grabs, and because of that, they claim that they own it. And then if anybody says they don't, they just Hail Mary. BYOB, right? They drop bombs on everybody to shut them up. So then they go, oh no, we own that. And then people go, no, you don't own me. And then they come over there and they kick the hell out of them. And then they go, oh yes, we do. And then if you don't like it, we're going to take you out and put somebody in power that agrees with me. And that's what they do around the world. Okay. Look at it. Okay. There's different countries that do different things, right? Like the United States is the military. Okay. And they go places because they have the money in the military and they do things, right? And then you have the banking country. You guys know who that is. Do you see? And then you have the thinking countries. You know who that is. Think about it. You know who has all the sayings and who is all telling people what to do, right? So the different countries are different archetypes, and they do the different things, right? Wadi, thank you for that, brother. Thank you for joining the fam club when you guys do that. Thank you very much. I love you guys when you do that. Because that helps us here to bring more content, to expand our lives so that you guys can hear more of what we're saying, right? Who are the evil ones, the fallen angels? That's actually an allegory. There are no actual fallen angels except for you. You're the fallen angels. Thank you, Rhythmic. Thank you very much. There was no war in heaven. Those were allegories that were told by different people at different times and different places on this planet, so that you could realize that there was a falling. The falling was just actual true falling was you volunteered to do this because the creator wanted to have an organic experience. Okay. So it's actually the fall is within you, and the dichotomy between your ego and your conscience. That's the yin and the yang. That's the battle between good and evil. That's actually only in third dimension. After you leave this place and you go to fourth dimension, it's less, because people are more awake. So they see that dichotomy more. And then when you go to the fifth dimension, it's even less, because you can't lie to anyone there anymore like you can here in third dimension. I can pretend that I'm a good guy and I could be out for myself and you wouldn't notice it because I seem like I'm smiling and have charisma. And meanwhile, I'm an energy vampire and I'm sucking your energy off of you, or trying to get you to give me money because I'm one of those schmoozers that do that. You know who I'm talking about. They're out there in the world. You see them in movies and stuff like that. Thoughts on DMT? DMT, Mike, is actually something that happens in your body on its own. That's where they got that, where they figured that out from. It actually happens in your brain once a month. It's called Christ oil. It has nothing to do with Jesus, except for Jesus was actually the physical representation to teach you the way to deal with that Christ oil. It's in the book that I wrote right here. If you guys want to take a look at that, The Reality About Reality, Returning to the Old Ways, by me, Leonard O'Neill. It's also referenced in the book called God-Man, the Bible Made Flesh. It's also referenced all over YouTube in videos that you guys can look at, okay? And it's about this cycle that happens in your life that has to do with your zodiac sign, and when the moon's energy moves in and out of your zodiac sign every single month, okay? So you can look into that. I could talk about that if you guys want, right? How can I get that book? This book is everywhere in the world. You can order it on Amazon. If you're in the United States, you can order it from my publisher. I have links to it. You can just Google it, and it'll tell you where you can get it and how you can get it shipped to you. If you want to get it on Kindle or ebook or something like that, you can just look it up there, and it costs you about $4 or $5, and you can have it on your whatever, your laptop, your phone, or whatever, so you can read it. But if you want a hardcover or a soft cover, you can get that online. If you're in Australia, I'll mail you one if you want, because I'm here in Australia.
And
so and I can sign it for you guys. So if you're here in Australia and you want a copy of it, let me know, and we'll ship it to you with me signing it, and I'll personalize it to you. Right? If you're outside of Australia, I can mail it, but it'll cost you about $40 for me to mail it, because it's expensive to mail overseas. I bought the book, but that calendar is sold out. Okay, Bubbles.
I bought it on Amazon calendar.
She got the book set. I bought the calendar on Amazon, if it helps. So you can maybe look on Amazon and find one just like that. Thank you for buying my book. I love you for doing that. So guys, yeah, if the calendar that she's talking about actually has the sun signs when the moon actually moved into your sun signs and moves out, and it's there for the entire year, so you can see that. So let me explain that again. Let me explain the Christ oil, okay? This is what all religions around the earth were originally telling you when they were a spiritual way. And about 12,000 years ago, the bad guys got this information and hid this from you and started editing that stuff. So if you look in history, you can see it in the year 329. Constantine, the emperor in Rome, thank you, hidden for that, changed the Christian Bible to eradicate that information about this Christ oil. The Christ, Jesus, the Christ, the entire story is about that oil. And you'll see as I tell you that, okay? So let's talk about that. So Jesus died at 33 years of age. Thank you, Gillian, for that. Jesus died at 33 years of age, okay? You have 33 vertebrae in your spine. If you know Jacob's ladder, there were 33 runs on the ladder of Jacob's ladder. All of those things are talking about the Christ oil that are within your body, and there's far more around the world. So let me explain what that is, okay? Every single month in your body, there are 2 oils that are secreted, one from your pituitary gland, right? And one from your optic thalamus. Those oils, one is a honey-like substance and one is a milk-like substance. The land of milk and honey. Have you ever heard that term? One of those is charged with electricity and the other one is charged with magnetism. Those oils go down your nervous system, your intricate system. There are two nerves that go from your brain all the way down your spinal column. Okay? It's the Inga and the Pingala nerves. Okay? In your brain. Those two oils, once a month, go down those two nerves all the way down to the bottom of your spine, to the 5 fused vertebrae of your spine that was actually called Bethlehem in the ancient times. Sound familiar? Bethlehem, where Jesus was born. Okay. Those two energies, one is masculine and one is feminine. In the ancient times, they were called what? Joseph and Mary. Yes, it was. Crazy as it sounds, oh guys. All right. So that oil goes down your spine and mixes together, and then it rises back up your spine charged with the Kundalini and the Kunda buffer energy. Kundalini is masculine and Kunda buffer is feminine. Goes through your chakras, up your 33 vertebrae, 33 years of Jesus's life. Then it goes through the claustrum, which is a chimney in your brain stem, where we get the word Santa Claus from, the claustrum, and it goes back to your hippocampus, and it sits there dormant, Christed, as if it's unalived for 3 days, 2.5 days, 60 hours, okay? And it does this depending on your sun sign. I'm a Virgo, so it just ended in Virgo, and it is now,
Scorpio,
it's going into Sunday, it goes into Scorpio. So if you're a Scorpio, the oil in your body right now has gone down and is starting to come back up through your spine.
Naughties, okay?
So no naughty, right? You know how with Santa Claus, no naughty, nice list or naughty list. In that time, for the 60 hours, those 3 days, if you are eating of the tree of life, which means drinking alcohol, having sex, eating crap food, that is called eating of the tree of life, and then you will be on the naughty list. But if you don't, and you're taking care of yourself and you're eating properly or fasting for a couple of days, meditating, not having alcohol, no ejaculation, so no sex, guys and girls, not even playing with yourself, for those 60 hours, at the end of that oil that is charged now with electro and magnetism, so electromagnetic waveform, and that oil together mixes together, then goes to your optic thalamus and explodes. That's where you become the light of the world. Jesus is resurrected and becomes the light of the world. It explodes with DMT, we were talking about that a minute ago, in your brain, and it actually illuminates all of your brain cells and raises your vibration, makes you actually smarter. But if you eat of the tree of life and you're on the naughty list, Santa Claus leaves you a piece of coal. Babe, thank you for that. So literally that oil, that energy, the DMT gets spent out of that oil, and the oil actually is secreted as a coal-like substance. So the ancient people knew about this, and they were teaching this to everyone around the world. And then the bad guys got a hold of it, and they said, nope, don't look over here, don't see that, look over there, look over here, okay? So
people are asking what it is.
So if you're asking what it is, if you guys can see the calendar.
You can get it online. Like actually online, you can actually look up a website that has the same information. I like a hard copy, so it shows me every month when Leo and I go into our areas. So I'm a Capricorn Aquarius, so I'm halfway in. But so you can see here that today, we're in Australia though, on Sunday, Scorpio, you're going into your Christ oil. And then over here on Tuesday, Sagittarius are going into theirs. So it ends on the next sign, okay? So when Sagittarius goes in, it'll end in Capricorn, and that's when I start. On Valentine's Day.
So on Valentine's Day, she starts, okay? So you guys can look at, February 1st, 1st of February, and Aquarius, right? So who was it that just said, is it Nice? Is that how you say your name, Nisi, right? Yeah, right? Finally, someone else talking about this. We're out there, and we're talking about this stuff because it's true. And you guys can look it up, okay? You can also look online if you don't have a calendar and you can't find one. You can look online, and there's places online where you can actually look that up. It'll tell you to the minute when it goes into, or at least to the hour. This time, 9:04 p.m. on this date, it goes into this sun sign. So it goes through the progression of the zodiacs January through December, the moon moves through in and out of every single zodiac sign once a month for 3 days. It's actually 60 hours. So it's actually 2.5 days, 2.5 days. Okay. And it does that every single month of your life. Okay. So if you want to learn and wake up your third eye, you take care of that Christ oil at that time, okay? That is what all religions were teaching you when they were a spiritual way. It's in everything, okay? And the way that you see that is, okay, let's talk about, John 3:16. Let's go to the Christian Bible. So God so loved the earth that he sent his only begotten son. So in the physical, the representation of that Christ oil is Jesus came down to earth, lived until he was 33 years of age, was crucified. I don't know if I can say that word on TikTok. We're talking about the Bible, guys, from TikTok. So please don't have a wing ding about it, TikTok, because I know you're a communist regime and you don't like words, especially spiritual ones. So I apologize for that. So he was unalived, and then he sat dormant for 3 days, unalived, and then he was resurrected, and then he arose and went to heaven and became the light of the world. Okay, here's another example of that. Okay, let's go to the Viking religion. Wait, what? Viking? How's that going to be like the Jesus thing? So Thor was up in heaven. Thor's the son of the god, the All-Father, Odin, who is the god of the universe according to their religion, right? And he was sitting there, and his father said, listen, you need to be a little bit more humble, and you need to realize and learn to be not self-serving, but in service to others, because one day you're going to be the head God, right? So I need to send you down to earth so that you can love them the way I do, and you can realize that life. So he sent his only begotten son down to earth, made him mortal. He couldn't rise up on his own or return home to Valhalla, what they called heaven, and he had to live among the mortals, and he learned that he loved them, and he became humble, and he became in service to others, and he actually had to sacrifice himself for them. And he was unalived, and then he rose up again. They showed you the movie about that, where they wrote it into modern times, but you saw the movie about that. Then he learned the error of his ways, and he learned that he loved the humans. And then his father resurrected him, and he had his abilities again, and he was able to, his name was Thor, which means thunder, by the way, and he had his war hammer, his hammer of war, which is called Mjolnir, which means lightning. And he took his war hammer, and he ascended and went back across Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge, Bifrost, chakra colors, went across Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge, as he's ascending. And guess what? Thor was 33 when this happened. As he was ascending through his chakras, he went through the chakras across Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge, and went back to Valhalla. Thank you for that, Natalie. And went back to Valhalla, and he used his thunder and his lightning, and he cracked the sky with thunder and lightning, and illuminated the sky and scared off Fenrir the wolf, who was covering the sky in darkness, and became the light of the world. Same story, different religion. Well, they must have just copied that, because that's what they want all the theologians to tell you. They just copied that, so that's just from an older story, and we have to find what the oldest story is. I'm a theologian, and they try to get me to do the same thing. But I said, how about instead of staring at a scroll and trying to cut down the forest to find the tree that is the tree of life, the one tree, and then look, it's not in this one. Wait, there's a forest over there. We better run over there and cut that one down and look for the one tree. Instead of chasing my entire life and chasing my tail, chasing scrolls, how about we actually read what the scrolls are about that everybody seems to be copying? Because they all seem to be copying the exact same story. And what is that story? Oddly, that story is about what happens within your body every single month. And weirdly, all of those people with that story were teaching you that way of life. And guess what? If you, like say Jesus, if you're a Christian, the way to heaven is through me. The way to heaven is through his example and what he's teaching you. And that is your own descension into physical form, because that's where you are right now, folks. You descended from an angel to physical form. And what are you doing? You're living here And guess what? You have 33 levels of information that you're supposed to learn while you're here. 33 years, 33 a number again. 33 is the number of our triple helix in our DNA sequencing. What? Wait, what? Why is that? Our DNA sequencing, when you change the mathematical equation of our DNA sequencing into letters, like in Aramaic, it spells out Yahweh. It spells out, I am God in flesh. Look that up. That'll freak out your brain for a minute. So look, seriously, don't believe me. Look that stuff up. Google that shit. Okay. So, or go onto YouTube and watch videos on it. Google that shit. Okay. So literally they were teaching you, watch me, see what I'm doing. You're doing this too right now. You just don't know it. Your job isn't to prostrate yourself and get crucified on a cross, but you're supposed to have that proverbial dark night of the soul, that proverbial internalized unaliving of you in the flesh, to then what? Resurrect and in the spirit. And they showed you that when you would go and get baptized. And what were you doing? You were dedicating your soul, and you were literally becoming unalived in the flesh and becoming alive in spirit. So they were showing you, by doing that and having water chucked or being immersed in water, that was your transformation and your rebirth, like you were going back through the birth canal and being in your mom's womb, being submerged in water and then coming out of the water. So there was that was being shown to you, that when you went into the water and came out was you being rebirthed into the world. But you were then dedicating yourself to being rebirthed in the spiritual plane, not just the physical plane. They don't even explain that to you. Why the water? Why the baptism? Oh, because you're dedicating yourself to the Lord. Okay? The Lord? What is the Lord? Lord. What is the Lord? You should look that up, okay? So they're keeping the information from you, and the information is everything you need to know is within you, and that is what these ascended masters, Lao Tzu, the Buddha, okay, that is what the Jesus was saying. Osiris was saying it. Shiva was saying it. Ganesh was saying it. Odin was saying it. Thor was saying it. Every religion that you can imagine that is still on this earth today, if you read what they were telling you, not what other people say they were telling you, and you don't listen to the people that are up there on a pulpit that are just going, wait here, he's coming back in a bus. We don't know when he's coming back, but we got to all be packed. Oh, and then they tell you that through guilt, of course, they run your life. You're a sinner. You're a sinner from the time you were born, especially you women. Shut up and sit over there. Especially you women. You guys have cramps and menstruating because you're evil from the get-go. And then you have childbirth pains because you guys ate the fruit in the tree of life. That story wasn't even told that way. That story is a lie, and they edited that story. So the story of Adam and Eve, you should look up the story of Adapa. People know the story of Adama. The story of Adama isn't quite as old, and that one's also been corrupted. Find the story of Adapa. Read the story of Adapa. That story is older than Mesopotamia, okay? That story will tell you, and it's still only like Gilgamesh and Enlil and Enki and, and the Enuma Elish, they're still allegories, not to be taken literal. That's what the problem is with the Ancient Aliens group, that Zecharia Sitchin said, the god Anu came down, and therefore that's the Anunnaki. And then Giorgio Tsoukalos on History Channel translated that as the god Anu came down. Then 2 years later on another episode, he said Anunnaki means those from the heavens came. So now it's an entire species called those from the heavens came. That is not what that translation is. They are dead wrong. Zecharia Sitchin was wrong. They didn't know what they were talking about. You can look this up, the actual translation of that. You have to know where to look for it, just like the Christ oil. You got to know, let him who have the eyes to see, let him who have the knowledge to know, let him who has the ears to hear. Highlights in the Bible that says the next words that I'm writing for you are something that you need to think about and not look at in a third dimensional construct. Okay? And I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so you look at the people who actually translated those scrolls, and they will tell you that that word is the Anuna. Anunnaki, and ki, like in the Japanese word ki, is energy. The Chinese word chi, energy. So Anunna meant new ones came to earth. You, my friends, are the new ones. You're the new angels that were created to come down here and have this organic experience. You, me, and everybody else. You're the Anunnaki. Me, you, and everybody else is what you think is the Anunnaki. The bad guys are not the Anunnaki. I'm not saying the Anunnaki as you know it are the good guys. The Anunnaki as you know them called themselves the Orion Crusaders when they were in the constellation of Orion, in Orion's belt, trying to do the same thing. How do I know that? Because I was there at the time. I was there at the time. She was there at the time. Where'd she go? She was there at the time. Thank you for that.
Stop showing the mess.
Stop showing the mess. She was there at the time, and many of you were there at the time. Okay, and we kicked their butts out of there, and we chased them to here.
Guys.
Sorry about that. I thought she was. It's not that messy. There's just a couple things on the coffee table now, right? So Orion Crusaders are the dark ones. The Orion Crusaders that's what they called themselves there. Most people know them as Anunnaki or Illuminati or something down here. Okay, but they called themselves the Orion Crusaders at the time because they were in the Orion Nebula, in the Orion area. We kicked their asses out of that place, chased them to this place. Okay, they got here to this part of the Milky Way galaxy, and they invaded 24 solar systems in this portion of the Milky Way galaxy. All of those have now been freed, including this one. But some of them, like 3 of them, this one being one of them, still doesn't realize that they're free. Okay, so we came down here to help you guys, but because the laws of the way that the universe works, because of the Creator, not because of some third dimensional race, because of the Creator, right? So, but Islam will rule the world either way. No, sorry. That's a warlike religion that is hell-bent on destroying the world, just like they turned Christianity into, just like they turned the Hebrew religion into, right? They're just being controlled by evil people trying to conquer the world. Islam will not rule the world. Who will rule the world? We will rule the world, okay? Religion is a recruiting mechanism to control. Spirituality waits for you to find it, okay? You can go to churches, and if you don't get recruited by that 1% zealot within those churches, then they won't teach you those bad things. I know what it says in the Quran, and I would encourage everyone to read it. Because if you actually read the Quran, you will see that there are words in there that talk about violence and doing bad things to people, okay? You don't see that in almost every other Bible, but you do in that religion. So you might want to look at that. But there are peaceful people who are in fact Muslim, and they're not listening to those bad words or the people trying to peddle those bad words to them. And they are doing the same that the Christians who are not listening to those zealots who are talking about bad words. Okay, if you look at when Jesus was teaching, he had a zealot who joined. They called him Zed. Okay, and then they turned him into, because his name was in fact Simon. So when they made Simon Peter, they were able to call Zed Simon, but they call him Simon the Zealot because of that, because they're Simon Peter. Okay, so he was a zealot, and Jesus said, no, not that kind of kingdom. And that was to show you that those zealots are going to be in every religion, and those people are going to try and control the religion, and they're going to preach to you physical harm and things to do to bad people or to people because they're bad. So you have to look, because every religion will tell you that. Even the Bohemian religion has a side that says Vikings maraud and go a Viking and rape and pillage and do bad things. But then there's that Celtic side of them that are farmers, that are lovers, that are peaceful people, that also believe in Thor and Odin and Freya and all those people. Okay? And Sif. Can't leave her out. My wife will get upset. Right? So Sif is Thor's wife, and we don't want to leave her out. Okay, that's the sacred feminine. We can't leave Mary Magdalene out either, because she is the wife of Jesus and the sacred feminine that they don't want you to know about. And don't forget Lilith, who is the wife of Samael, the sacred feminine that they want you to not know about. Okay, they want you to run away from that as soon as you can, right? The original Vikings Norse Asian. They were not Asian. They're not Asian. I am Viking and I don't have any Asian DNA. I also don't have any African DNA. Okay, so the original Vikings were not Asian. However, the original Vikings, who were Norse, by the way, and you can look that up because they did a study on that. They were Norse and spoke Old Norwegian. They actually traded all the way across with the Asians. And there are some mummies that were found over in China and Tibet that were wearing kilts and had tattoos and had long red hair. Okay, mummies from thousands of years ago. So they were called the horse people before the Mongolians became the horse people, okay? And then the Mongolians became the horse people because they were being taught and traded with the original Vikings, the original European people. It's just like, and now they know, let me go further. Now they know, because you're thinking Caucasian. Now they know in the United States of America, because I grew up there, in the state of California, because I grew up there, they found a Native American female back in 2012. And in 2016, they revealed their findings. She was older than any other native species from the North American continent. And they tested her DNA. And guess what, people? She was European, not Caucasian. She did not have any Asian DNA, which means she didn't come across the land bridge. She got to America a different way, the other way. Okay. She didn't come across the land bridge, so there was no interaction with the Asian people. So the original Vikings were not Asian. They were not Caucasian. They were European. Okay. And that's been proven through DNA. I hate when people say that about me. This is the only reason why I'm talking like this, because in the United States, if they say to you, what are you? And they go, Caucasian. I'm like, I don't have any Asian in me. I'm not half Asian. I'm not Caucasian. I am Aryan, and I'm not saying that because I'm a Nazi. I'm saying that because I'm European. Okay, even though I was born in the United States, I'm European, and I don't have any Asian DNA, and I don't have any African DNA. I'm not racist. I'm just saying that I'm typo negative, and I don't have any Asian DNA. Okay, so I don't have African DNA, I don't have monkey DNA, and I don't have Asian DNA. How do you explain that? Right? So the original Vikings were part Asian. No, I beg to differ. Okay, so you can look that up. I'm not lying about that. All right, so let's get back on track about spirituality and stay away from race and politics, because people are trying to push us into that, right? So literally everything that is in the physical is a representation of the spiritual. So the different races that are here are only here because of the differences in spiritual of all of us and where we came from in the universe. Okay, so you guys have to look into that. I'm not going to get into all of the DNA of that, but yeah, and we don't hate indigenous. We are not. I am 5% actual Native American. Okay, I'm actually 5%. I know I don't look it because I look like Santa Claus, but I'm actually 5%. If you saw the rest of my family, you would go, how did he? I am Santa Claus. How did he get in that family? He must have been adopted, because my family's mostly brown. Okay, because I'm 5%, right? And that's not a lot. But 2 generations ago, we're half. 3 generations ago, we're Native. Okay, so I'm not in any way racist. My brother has half Native, half African children. So I'm not racist. Neither is Brooke. She has children that are actually half Viking and half Asian, right? No, that's somebody else's politics, my friend, and that's the religion of evil. Fear of others in the physical is the religion of evil, and that's politics and that caste system that is the governmental system and the control system that is the monetary system that is on this earth currently. Okay, so that's that, right? So do the Irish, yes, because I'm actually 43% Irish. So history's backwards. Yes, it is. It's actually backwards. Up is down, down is up, left is right, right is left. Okay, you guys have to realize that they're not giving us the true history, because they're giving us only the history of they're in charge and we're not, and they rule over us and we're their subjects, and they own this place and they own us, because they believe that. Okay, so you have to realize that. You have to look within yourself. The way out of this place is to look within yourself and balance yourself. Discover the Christ oil. Discover how that works within you, because it's in every religion. You can read my book if you want. The Reality About Reality, Returning to the Old Ways by me, Leonard O'Neill, okay? You can find that anywhere online, and it'll ship to you wherever you are in the world. It's on sale everywhere in the world, okay? You can get it on Kindle or ebook. I also have a podcast called Orion Rising, Orion Rising. That's free for you to listen to. It's listened to in over 70 countries. And the emblem is the Giza Plateau, the pyramids at night with the galaxy of Orion above it in the sky. There's over 500 episodes of me teaching you about true spirituality and interpreting that for everybody to see on the earth, showing you about this Christ oil, showing you what's going on.
If you would like Leo to sign it personally, get in contact with us and we will mail it to you anywhere in the world, not just Australia.
Right.
Personally signed by this genius right here. My love.
Okay, so you guys have to realize that Leo Thunder, great name, right? Leo Thunder. Thor was thunder. Leo means lion, right? So Orion, if you guys are interested in that, right? Because some of you look at Orion and you say, I am drawn to Orion. Why is it that the pyramids are mirroring Orion? Why are there so many pyramids on the earth that seem to have that same complex of three in the exact order? And then people go, oh, it has nothing to do with Orion at all. Actually, it does. It has a lot to do with Orion. And there's a reason that the people who were here in the ancient past built these artifacts around the world and mirrored them to look like Orion's belt. Because Orion, if you look that up, Orion means the Christ. Orion means he who is Christed, and the Christ will come. And that doesn't mean just the Jesus character, because the Christ came over and over and over. And I showed you how some of the religions were showing you the Christ, and the Christ wasn't named Jesus. In that religion, that time, the name was used, Jesus used the name of, and had the Christ title. Okay, he was Christed. Okay, and he was showing you the way. Thor was also Christed. So was Shiva. So was Marduk. So was Moses. Moses did the same thing. Let's look at the story of Moses, okay? Is the oil the Sabbath? It is what the sacred Shabbat was supposed to be originally, okay? Shalom, shalom for the Shabbat. Okay, the Shabbat was when they did that one time a year, like the Christianity does the Christmas once a year. The reason that Christianity does that in December was because the Christians at that time were European, and December is the time where it's the coldest and the darkest. And the people in Europe at that time, with their religion, was that the God had become unalived and then he was resurrected again in springtime. Springtime is Easter, okay? Easter is because of springtime, okay? So that was when the resurrection of the Green Man, I know that because I am a Merlin, I have that title, I have the Green Man tattooed on my back, okay? The Green Man, that was the guise of Pan, and then became Cernunnos, Cronunnos, Hern the Hunter, which is also synonymous with what? Orion the Hunter, okay? All of that goes around to all of these religions on the world of the son of the creation. Okay, that's where you get the Christed from, was from that. All right. So you have to realize that. You have to realize that, right? Somebody in Central Africa was starting. You have to realize that over in Africa, they were Christians before the Europeans were. Okay, and they don't want you to know that. They want you to know about that today. Why is that? Why is it that the one thing they don't want you to know out of all the religions is the Christianity? Why are they hiding that so hard? Because Christianity in and of itself is about the Christ oil, blatantly about the Christ oil. So all the other religions, they can just remove that from there, and you have Thor, god of thunder and lightning and battle and the different frost giants, and everything is still veiled there. And you don't realize that how many worlds are there? 7. How many chakras are there? 7. You don't realize that. Okay, you don't realize that how many plagues of Moses are there. Right now there's 10, but originally there was 7. They changed that to 10. Why? Because they didn't want you to realize the 7 plagues of Moses were the chakras, and the people who balanced their chakras properly didn't become unalived. But the Egyptians who disagreed with that and didn't balance their chakras properly, they became unalived. Okay, so that's the story of Moses. Moses was what? He was hidden. He was born from immaculate conception, and at the time there was a legend that he would undo the Pharaoh and free the the Jews from the control of the Pharaoh. So the Pharaoh said, find every firstborn Hebrew and unalive them. So Moses' mom put him in a wicker basket. And if you know anything about theology, you know that wicker basket story happens about 10 times on the earth. Put him in the river, and he was taken from the river, and the woman didn't know that and didn't care that he was a Hebrew, and she raised him as his own, and she was the daughter of the Pharaoh and raised Moses as a Egyptian royalty. And then eventually Moses realized that he wasn't, and what did he do? His descent from that place of grace, he was descended and he worked the earth with his people. And then Ramses II grabbed him and brought him before his father, and they cast him out. And where did he go? He wandered the desert. How many days? 40 days and 40 nights. He wandered the desert until he was going to become unalived. And he looked up to God and he said, I can't go on any further. God, please save me. I'm going to pass on. And he fell down to be passed on. And before that he actually ascended from that, God resurrected him and saved his life. And then he got up and he went back to work. And then guess what he did? He saved other people. He was very pious and in service to others. Then God appeared to him on the mountain and said, go and tell the Pharaoh to free my children. And he said, who shall I say sent me, Lord? I don't know who it is. And he said, I am that I am. Tell him I am sent you. So they called him Adonai, because that word back then meant I am. Okay. And then he said, I don't have the words, my Lord. I don't know what to say. And he said, I will be your words. I will speak through you. Wait, he became the voice of God. He became the voice. Wait a minute. Jesus was the word of God. Moses was the word of God. Similar? I don't know. Then he went and said, let my people go. And if you don't let my people go, then God will prove to you that he is the one true God. And guess who was the God that they were going up against? Serpent God. That's correct. The God of the Egyptians at the time was a serpent God. So then guess what happens? He fights off the serpent in the garden. Weird, right? Goes through past the temptation. Where's the temptation in that story? Moses went up on the mountain and was getting the 10 commandments, and all of the people had temptation. And he came out and he threw them down at him and he cursed them and he said, no, stop it, children. That was overcoming the temptation. Okay. He had the same thing happen. It's the same story told a different way. Then he led people into the promised land and became the light of the world. But then God said, you don't get to go into that city because you're supposed to come up here. So then he went out into the desert and God took him up to heaven. So the same story being told slightly different in an earlier time. Sorry, my wife's saying, going off topic.
Back to the calendar.
Okay.
Mikhail's asking, if he has a wet dream, is that classed as being bad with the oils?
On that time, I mean, I guess that you're expending that stuff. Why are you planning on having a wet dream at that time? That's getting really technical.
Yeah, right.
If you think someone's going to have a wet dream on that time, have them ejaculate beforehand about 4 or 5 days, and you won't have a wet dream on that night, because it usually takes people more than 4 or 5 days to build up enough frustration, you or him, build up enough frustration to have a wet dream.
Yeah.
Right? So avoid that by doing something, preparing for it, right?
Yeah.
So even my cousin's laughing, Vegas is laughing. She's like, oh my God, right?
Well, it's true though.
Okay, so no, you're not wrong. That's actually a very valid question that no one's asked me before. So I don't want to think I was making fun of that. Handle your business before if you know that your 3 days is coming up and you got a week before your 3 days, handle that business. Take care of business. And then you won't be having any kind of dreams like that in that short amount of time. And if that's what's happening, get it down to the wire then. Go down to 4 or 5 days ahead of time and handle that business. Right. That's a bad time to just coming in here, Sharon. Sharon comes in and I'm talking about handling the business. So I apologize for that. So is there a certain times? Yes. The Christ oil, Sharon, let me give you when your zodiac sign, when your sun sign, every single month, the moon is moving through every single zodiac sign for the entire 28 days of its cycle. Okay. So, yeah, well, like I'm a Virgo. Mine just ended the other day. Scorpio starts tomorrow because it went past Libra and went to Scorpio. Okay. So it goes through the sun signs, the same progression, January through December, January through December. Every month, the moon, whether it's a full moon or a new moon or whatever, and anywhere in there will go through your sun sign. It'll go into your sun sign at a specific time that you can track. It's on calendars, right? My wife, we have one, and she took a picture of it and she was holding it up for you guys, but you can go online and Google it too. So if you want a calendar so that you can look at it on a calendar on a wall, you can buy those. We got that off of Amazon, and it's a moon phase calendar. Here, yeah, she's going to pull the calendar up.
The mood phase calendar. So this month, hang on, sorry.
We're going to show you that. You can also, while she's doing that, you can also Google it. Okay.
So this is February. So as you can see, you've got all your sun signs up here. So you go off your sun sign. So for example, today for us here.
We're in Australia, by the way.
Sunday the 8th. Okay. So on Sunday the 8th here in the Southern Hemisphere, where am I? Scorpio is going into the moon's going through the Scorpio.
Going into Scorpio today.
And then on Tuesday, it's going to go into Sagittarius.
Do you see?
Then on Friday, it's going to go into Capricorn, etc., etc., etc.
Okay. So it does that once a month. It goes into your sun sign. Okay. So you want to track that, because at that time that it goes into your sun sign, 3 days prior to that, there's two oils that are secreted from your brain that go down your nervous system to the base of your spine, and they mix together. That's the oil and honey. One is an oil and one's a honey substance. Those two mix together, and then they go back up your spine, and they get charged with the Kundalini and Kunda buffer fire, and they go up your spine and through the claustrum, where we get Santa Claus from, the claustrum, the claws, through the chimney in your brain stem, and they go to your hippocampus, which is right at the base of your bottom of inside your brain at the bottom, and it sits there Christed. It sits there, and it's anointed of John, by the way, Christed of John, and it sits inert, like it's unalived, for 2.5 days, 3 days. That's the unalived and resurrection of the Christ. Sits, and it happens within you, 60 hours. So you can track it by the calendar, or you can go online and find a calendar online. Just put moon phase through your zodiac, or moon sign in zodiac calendar, and then there's websites you can see, or you can buy one, or they're there. Okay, so you can look that up. The moon calendar, it has all the cycles, tells you when it goes in and out of all of the signs. Whatever your zodiac sign is, when it goes into that oil has already gone down your spine and back up, and it's sitting in here. Okay. And it's sitting inert right here. And if you eat of the tree of life by having sex or ejaculating or drinking alcohol or eating crap food, that's called eating of the tree of life. That's when you're on Santa Claus's naughty list, not the nice list. Okay. And that's the whole story of Santa Claus. As a matter of fact, was a story of the Christ oil being told to Vikings, to their children. So at the end of that 3 days, if you're meditating, if you're eating right, you're not debauching yourself in some way, and you're, praying, whatever, eating good foods, maybe even fasting for a couple of days, then at the end of that oil then goes to your third eye, your hippocampus, or your optic thalamus. And when it goes into your third eye, it explodes with DMT, okay? It explodes inside your third eye, and it illuminates all of your brain cells with energy. It's like a baby Big Bang. And it actually raises your vibration. But if you do debauch yourself and spend that oil's energy before it explodes, then actually it releases a coal-like substance in your brain. So Santa Claus leaves you coal. Okay, and that coal-like substance lowers your vibration and solidifies you more in third dimension. So if you only, thank you, Wadi, for that. If you are not religious, if you're not, and remember, religion recruits you, spirituality waits for you to find it. If you're not spiritual and you don't care about any of that stuff and you're just living life, if you learn that cycle in your body, depending on what sun sign you are, and you live by that, and you don't get all crazy, and you don't do like, everybody talks about the Catholics, and know that I was baptized Catholic and knighted by the Roman Catholic Church, and I am a minister, and I'm not saying that just because, I'm not trying to throw rocks at them. But people say about the Catholics, they just go and confess every Sunday and go out and do whatever, okay? You have to also not be debauching, so you have to actually be a good person and be in service to others. If you're a good person and you're in service to others and you're not getting all crazy, what will happen is that oil will explode in your brain on that day at the end of that 60 hours, the end of that 3 days, and it will raise your vibration. And the more that you do that month by month by month, the more it will lift the veiling of your forgetting, and you will start remembering who you are, why you came here, and what you're here to do. All right. Can you do a video about this specifically? There are videos out there already on YouTube. If you look at YouTube, you can Google that and Google the Christ oil within sacred, you could put sacred alchemy, sacred sexual alchemy within the body. And there's at least 7 or 8 videos out there on YouTube right now that actually have all of that information actually explained to you by a doctor. You can hear him talking. He has like an accent. I think it's like kind of like an English accent who's doing that. So you guys can look at that. I've talked about maybe doing that a few times. Yeah. That's why I wrote about it in my book. I don't know. Maybe we'll do a video about that. My wife's all hot and ready to do a video about that. So who knows? Maybe we'll do a video about that and pop it up there for you guys to see. Okay. So you have to, the AI summary is Egyptian history and moon cycles. Ask about the zodiac. That's hilarious, right? So since women don't really had emission, what's that? Since women don't rely, so women, you have to realize that they're pushing you guys down, and they've been doing that. That's part of their way to control the societal structure, is to take away the sacred feminine so that we can't balance. They're taking away that which is the love, the nurturing, the caring, that heart chakra, and the spiritual plane. That is the feminine aspect, archetype of this physical plane. The masculine archetype is the bottom 3 chakras, which is physicality. Even though we also embody, if we're balanced, we embody the wisdom and stuff like that. Women do too. So the churches all decided that women needed to be out of the way, because that's the only way that they could keep people in a lower vibration and keep people more warlike. So they do that. They're controlling the feminine and keeping the feminine away from the world, so that people can't figure it out, right?
Sharon said a good point, but I can't pin it because
thank you for that.
The algorithm. So that's why they're making sex, etc., more prevalent even to young children, to keep us 3D.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right. She just read, I'm sorry about that. She just read I missed that. She couldn't pin it. So that's exactly why, right? I was asking if the Christ oil works the same for women. Yes, it does. It does work. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or woman, you have the same Christ oil, and that Christ oil works for you exactly the same way. It has nothing to do with sexuality. It has nothing to do with a man or a woman. You still have the same cycle. The cycle of oil is human. You know what I mean? So it works on the physical body, no matter what you identify as or what you are. It's just a fact of existence. If the only thing that will determine what that Christ oil does for you is whether you're in service to self or in service to others. And Santa Claus was the story where they told you about that, right? If you're on Santa's naughty list, you get coal. So it literally turns into a black coal-like substance if you squander the oil. And if you don't, then that oil explodes with DMT, and it's a little pop, right? Reese, welcome, my brother. Welcome. I'm glad that you came in, right? I know, right? I'm off Cowboy Up. Are you? Way to go, brother. Have fun. I sent some videos, right? If you're out doing Cowboy Up, film a couple of them and send them to us. I love watching when you do that stuff, because I want to do that, right? So if you're doing that, brother, do that, right? So yeah, there's other books. Like I said, I wish I had read the book God, Man, the Bible Made Flesh before I wrote my book. I actually had it, but it was sitting on my bookshelf and I didn't read it. Otherwise, I would have referenced it in my book. I did talk about the Christ oil almost word for word what they said. Literally, if you read their book, you'll go, wow, this is exactly what he said in his book. Maybe he paraphrased. No, I didn't. Had I done that, I would have actually gave them credit, but I didn't. I wish I would have known about it. But I did know about it and I wrote it. And you'll see that if you read my book, that you'll hear other people talking about it, because you can only talk about the Christ oil one way, because it is that way. That was what Jesus was teaching. That is what Marduk was teaching. That is what all of these religions were actually teaching you, was the way. Taoism still teaches you the way. Okay, so Taoism, let's talk about that. Lao Tzu in 634 thereabouts, BCE, before Common Era, somewhere in the 600s, 630, at the same time that the Buddha was also teaching the same thing in China at the same time. Lao Tzu says, when people are talking about what's the way, and he said, he who can create his own illusion and live in that illusion will find the way to heaven. Okay? Think about that. So 2,650 years ago, there was a Chinese man who knew this place was an illusion and was teaching you that your focus determines your reality. Think about that. Okay? So hundreds of years before Jesus was born, there was a guy teaching what Jesus was teaching. Look at the Buddha. You'll find the same sort of concepts being taught. Okay? So you look at this stuff, look at the Hindu religion, look at Shiva and Ganesh. Listen to what they're talking about. You're going to find the same thing. He who looks for things in the physical will not find it.
All right, I'm muting.
Okay?
He's annoying me.
So, yeah, that's fine. So he who looks for it, and I hated that they always said he, everything back in the past, right? He meaning man, meaning the humanity. I hate that. They, right? The person, whether it's a man or a woman, okay? Whoever is how they should have said it. Whoever looks for things in the physical will never find their way to heaven, okay? Because it's not in the physical place. So people have been looking for the land of milk and honey forever. The land of milk and honey is in your head, in your body, and it goes up and down your spine once a month. Okay? What is it? The looking for the fountain of youth. The fountain of youth is in your head. That DMT, by the way, will keep you from aging and start reversing your aging. It's just like taking Ormus, if you know what Ormus is. It's the same building blocks of the universe because that's within you. Okay? So that's within you. So it's the same building blocks. So it actually will reverse your aging. And as long as you're not debauching yourself, if you're eating 500 pounds of sugar and smoking 150 packs of cigarettes a day, you're going to age faster because you're spending your body and you're damaging your body. Okay. Yeah, I've been tracking that for the last 3 months. There you go, brother. Good for you that you're doing that. Crawford, good for you. Okay. So, this is one more shizzo that I expected. Nice. What is that, bro? You're going to have to be trolled right on out of here, right? If you're going to be trolled. So, and how do I do this? You track it by looking at the calendar either online or buying one that has the moon cycles in it. And it tells you when the moon moves in and out of your sun sign, your zodiac sign. When the moon moves in and out of your zodiac sign, it moves in your zodiac sign and then stays in it as it's moving through it for 3 days, 60 hours. That's the 3 days of the unalived and resurrection of the Christ, of Jesus. He was 33 years of age. You have 33 vertebrae in your spine, unless you've had a couple fused together. You have 33 vertebrae in your spine. The Christ oil goes down your spine to the bottom 5 vertebrae that are fused. Okay, and they called that the breadbasket. They called that Bethlehem back in the old days. Goes down there, mixes together, comes back up, goes across Bifrost the Rainbow Bridge as it goes across your chakras. Goes across Bifrost the Rainbow Bridge like Thor does as he's going back to Valhalla, back to heaven, because the heavens are the heaved up place that's in here in your brain. Okay, that's the heavens. This is the high heavens is in your brain. That they knew that in the old ancient times. Okay, and they taught that. Okay, so literally that's when you take care of that Christ oil. Okay, you know the year is supposed to be 13 months. Yes. Because there used to be 13, because the moon has 13 cycles and it's 28 days long. The lunar calendar, the reason that we were being on the lunar calendar was because it made it easier to track your sun sign, and when the moon went in and out of your body, it would happen at exactly the same time every single month. That's the 10% tithing. But to distract us away from that, they had to change the calendar. So they changed the calendar to this Greco-Roman calendar where they moved a bunch of days around to confuse everybody and make it harder for you to track. And then you forgot about it because they took that information away from you. You're absolutely right. There used to be 13 months on the calendar, and they used to be 28 days long. And every end of the month, the 28th day was on a Sunday every month, and the first day of every month was on a Monday. And you always knew exactly what 3 days the moon was going to move into and out of your sun sign, so you could plan for it for your entire life, and you knew what day that was going to be. And now you have to look on a calendar because there are 13 moon cycles to the 12 months, and it happens different every month. My Christ oil every single month moves up a day or two, depending on whether there was 31, 28, or 29, or 30 days in the month that I just went through. Okay. So no telling the accuracy of the zodiac is true. Now, we still know the zodiac is based on the heavens, my friend. The zodiac signs and where they moved are based on our rotation around our rotation every day and our rotation around the sun. That hasn't changed in more than 10,000 years. The calendar has changed slightly because they took a bunch of days and added them to here and there and willy-nilly, and eventually there was only a few days left in a month, so they took those and spread them around, just eradicated that month and made it disappear. That's your Greco-Roman calendar that you're on now, which is a solar calendar, not a lunar calendar. And they do that, Penny, welcome. They do that so it's not easy for you to track. So that way it's really hard. You don't know when it's going to be. Thank you for that. Woo-hoo! Yeah, baby. Thank you for that, Lottie. So you literally have to realize that's part of their deception so that you will not be able to track this stuff within your body. And then they just took everything out of the different Bibles that they could control. They took the information about it, just took it out and said, that's no longer part of that. And anybody who has that, we need to hunt them down and unalive them. And we know that because we found 68 books in the Dead Sea area. Right. And then guess what? They found out in history, how did they get here? So they looked it up. They found out that those were put there by the Essenes, who went missing right after the year 2030. Then 2029 or 20, not 2030, the 329, 330. Because right around that time was when Constantine had the First and Second Council of Nicaea and said, all of those books need to go, right? And all those books told you about the ascension, told you about the proper creation, told you about the Christ oil, and told you the teachings of Jesus and what he was saying. The Gnostics or the Gnosis people now are telling you that those books were the secret teachings that Jesus told John and James, because the book of James is one of those books. And they're like, no, that stuff, he told everybody else the stuff that you know about, and then secretly looked at John and James and said, oh, that was bullshit. Here's the real story. The books that they're telling you about, when people say, oh, it's the Nag Hammadi, and that's junk. The Nag Hammadi or the what else did they call them? When they call them the Dead Sea Scrolls, they call them the Hermetica, right? The Hermetica is the Corpus Hermeticum. That is a writing by Hermes Trismegistus, right? But all that other stuff that they call the Nag Hammadi, they're claiming, and people still believe this, that those were just made up and they weren't real. Weird, because if that's true, how come the Ethiopians, Christians who walked away from that council and didn't let them get to their Bible, to this day say, here, we have a Bible that's complete. And guess what books are in that Bible? Oh, well, it's just the Ethiopians. What do they know? Yeah. And that would be kind of cool if the Eastern Orthodox Church, the Eastern Orthodox Christian Church, didn't also walk out of that council, and they also don't have a Bible, because they do, that also has 68 books in it that they said, we walked away and didn't let them edit that. And guess what 68 books they have? The ones that we found in the Dead Sea area that everyone claims were taken out because they were false. So there are more people and more churches who call themselves Christians on this earth who say this is the true Christianity, including the one that Mary, Jesus's wife, created in the south of France. Look that one up, folks. Mary, who created a church in the south of France, and her children, married to Jesus, children, carried on that church. And eventually, after Constantine did his work, that church, about 1100s, came out and said, that church in Rome is corrupted and not teaching what Jesus was teaching, and we're teaching what Jesus was teaching, and this is the proper way. And the Pope in Rome, guess what he did? He sent his knights to the south of France, and they unalived over 2 million people to shut that religion up. So the Ethiopians kept quiet, and so did the Eastern Orthodox Church, so they wouldn't get unalived. And they saved their information. So that's 3 Bibles that existed on this planet from 3 different Christian religions that were the same Christian religion, who all claimed, independent of one another, that the Roman Catholic Church had edited that when Constantine edited it. And we know he did because we found the Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay? So what does this tell you? This tells you that there's another story that they have been not telling you. And the guy named Dan Brown wrote a book called The Da Vinci Code after investigating the same exact knowledge. And that book, Da Vinci Code, became a movie that they put out to the whole world, where Tom Hanks played the main character in it and starred in it. You guys might want to look at it. Okay? Tells you something. Okay? So you need to take a look at that stuff. Okay. You're full of it. Omar the King. There's Omar the King. I love you. Yeah, I love you. I banned you from my other thing. So my wife's about to ban you. So bye-bye, buddy. Have a nice life. Omar the King, who thinks he knows everything and has no religious titles whatsoever or any theological titles at all. All he has is an opinion, and he thinks his opinion is the biggest opinion on the face of the earth. So we're blocking Mr. Omar. Have a nice day. And be careful, because he might be that other guy that was King 88. If he comes in all of a sudden, keep an eye on King 88. Okay, so the calendar is the best to follow the system with. Yes, because the calendar is, it's tangible. You can hang it up on your wall and you look at it every day and go, what's today? Oh, going up on my Christ oil, right? What I do is I go on the line to the website, and then I program that into my phone. But I did that because we didn't have a calendar. So my wife bought the calendar, and so now it's the same. We actually compared them to the websites to make sure these things are accurate, and they are accurate. There was some weird little discrepancies where instead of 60 hours, like with the Virgo this month, for some reason it said the moon wasn't in Virgo for 60 hours, but it has to be. Even if we have an extra full moon in that month, it still has to be, because the moon doesn't move any faster and the earth doesn't turn any faster. So the calendars are good, right? Am I religious? No, I'm spiritual, but I do have 4 religious titles in 4 different religions, and I have a spiritual title on top of that, okay? So I am a Christian minister. I have a Christian minister title. I was knighted by the Roman Catholic Church, which gives me a minister title in that form of Christianity. I'm a Merlin. I'm a Druid priest. I have that title there, and I'm a Reiki master teacher, and Reiki is a spiritual practice as well. So I'm not religious because religion recruits you. Spirituality waits for you to find it, okay? Because the religions, even though they're still good, don't get me wrong, I'm not against religion. Religions, the first step in avoiding a trap is knowing of its existence. Religion has been controlled, and they're not teaching you the true religion, the true spiritual way that religion was originally formed about and for. And it's not the fault of anybody who's in the religion today. They either don't know about it or they can't teach you anything because the curriculum that they have, if you're a Christian, I'm a Christian minister and I don't have the Bible here to show you because I moved from California over to Australia and didn't bring the Bible with me because it was very heavy and I was saving space. If you guys have ever flown, you know that. I had a Bible that weighed almost 10 pounds, okay? And I'm going to have to get another one while I'm here. So there's a curriculum in that your pastor, if you're a Christian, is teaching you from. Okay, the Bible that they have either has a 2-year curriculum, a 3-year curriculum, or a 5-year curriculum. Okay, and what that means is that every day when they open the Bible to what today is, and today is what? What are we, the 7th or the 8th? We're the 8th of February today, okay? So I would open up my Bible, and on the 8th of February, it would say, teach these things, and that would give me like 4 or 5 reference points. Teach it this way, this way, this way, or this way, with all of these references from the Bible. It's all there drawn out for you. You go up on the pulpit and you say these things, and everything is about certain things every single month going around the whole year. But you don't realize that because if you're going to a church and you go there every single Sunday, it would take you 2 years to hear it repeat, or 3 years, or 5 years. So most humans don't go to church that often to hear it repeat itself over and over and over and over and over. So you don't notice what they're doing. Okay. So in that curriculum, they're not teaching you anything about the Christ oil. They're teaching you, they're teaching you, so what do you think about casting out demons? Well, that is an actual thing. Demons are not supposed to be inside of you at all unless you allow them. People have to allow them to come in first. So, but yes, I can teach you exorcism. Exorcism is something that even Jesus was doing. Jesus exorcised many people. Why? Because they needed to be exorcised, because they had collected negative energy that was in some ways talking to them and controlling them. Okay. So welcome in. Make sure you guys smash those hearts for me, champions. Let's get some more hearts in here, right? And maybe hit some of those roses so we can get some of those roses in, and share this out. More importantly, share it out so we can get more people to come in, right?
We're in Australia, so we're the 8th, but yeah, she's right.
I'm in Australia. We're over here in Australia. When I said today's the 8th, it is for us because we're ahead of time. Then you're probably in the United States or Europe, and it's still yesterday for you guys, okay? Because the earth is not in fact flat, and the earth is round, and there's 24 hours in the earth, and we're really close to the prime meridian. There's only New Zealand and like 3 islands like Fiji and the island of Christmas and one other island that are further closer. So those guys should be the 0 point for the world. Like Christmas Island is the first humans that experience the day. And for instance, I'm 19 hours ahead of California, okay? Because I'm over here. So for you over there, yeah, you're right. It's the 7th, right? Because you guys haven't caught up to us yet. And Brooke was, I didn't see that. And Brooke was like, tell her that it's, yeah, she's right. For her, it is that time. So time is relative to where you're standing on the earth, my friends. So, okay. So let's see. What was the question here? So Penny, you call demons. You can call demons. Open yourself. If you do, you'll know what you're doing. Yeah. So through necromancy, people use that to actually control negative energies. You got to be very careful with that. If you don't know what you're doing, that's how you get into trouble. Okay. So how to search this information on our own, please. Example, the sun signs moving through. You can just Google that. You can look up. There's the whole entire Christ oil videos are on YouTube. Thank you very much. Are on YouTube. Okay, so you can look that up. It's going to happen every time somebody pops in here and didn't hear all of it. So literally, you can look it up online. You can Google it, and you can Google calendars with the moon cycle in it, and they're on sale all over the place. You can go down to a store and find them, but you can Google it on Amazon. You can look it up there. Just Google it. But if you want to research it and actually watch somebody on a video talking about it, you can go to YouTube and you can look it up there, my friend, and you'll find it. Thank you very much, Red Rock, for that. I didn't say thank you earlier when you did that for me. I said thank you, but didn't mention your name, right? Green-eyed, pooping. Thank you for that one, right? So yeah, you guys can look all this stuff up online, and I would endeavor that you do. You can also look it up in my book. I wrote about it in my book, The Reality About Reality, Returning to the Old Ways. You could look it up in the book called God-Man, the Bible Made Flesh, which came out in like 1948. People were talking about it back then. You can look it up if you actually know what you're looking for. You can look for it in all the religions. Let me give you a little hack for religion. I did this yesterday, and if you guys are here now, thank you for that. My wife was popping me with some roses there. Thank you, baby, for doing that. So let's give you some hack on these religions and show you on different places how these religions show you about balancing your chakras and working with the Christ oil. Okay, so if you look at, let's start with the Egyptian Book of the Dead. In the Egyptian Book of the Dead, there is a spell that you need to have either with you in your sarcophagus, or you need to know this knowledge. And what is that knowledge? That knowledge is the way that you get to heaven. And how do you learn that? And what is that knowledge? The knowledge is you have to have the secret name of the gatekeeper when you're on the boat and the boat is sailing up the river, going across Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge, by the way, going up the river to try and get you to heaven. And you need to know the secret name of the God who rules, the gatekeeper who rules that gate. And if you know that person's secret name and the riddle of that gate, which is how to balance that chakra, by the way. If you read the Egyptian Book of the Dead and open up your computer to the chakras and what the chakras mean, red ray root chakra all the way up to the crown chakra, and what you need to do to balance that archetype, what the archetype is of the red ray root chakra and all the others, and what you do to balance that chakra, and then you read the Egyptian Book of the Dead, guess what? There's 7 gates that you need to know the name of the chakra, and you need to know how to balance that chakra. And if you know all of those, or you have that paper to give to each one of those, then you can get into heaven. That's how to balance your chakras and get into heaven. Okay. So now let's go to the Christian Bible in that place called Revelations that we were talking about, which doesn't mean the end of the world. It actually means illumination. Hold on. I'm going to take a drink of my coffee. It means illumination. Let's go to the letters to the churches. Let's go to the letters to the churches. You open up that Bible to the letters to the churches in Revelations, and it looks like that John or Peter, depending on which reality you remember, whether Peter was in Patmos or John was, wrote letters to the churches. Why would that religion hold on to letters that he yelled at churches about? You guys aren't doing what you're supposed to do. You need to do this. Why would they hold on to those specific letters for 2,000 years? Open up your Bible and look at the letters to the churches. Open up those chakras again and what they mean and what the archetypes mean and how to balance your chakras 1 through 7. You'll find there's 7 letters to 7 churches. If you read what the name of the church is, if you try to look it up, they'll tell you a place where that church might have been in history. That's the secret. That's the ploy, so that when the Romans, or when the people, I think he was on Patmos, when the people that were his prison keepers saw that letter, they went, it's just some letter to his followers about how they're not doing anything. Send it on. Okay. So the name of the churches, if you look up the etymology of the name of that church, what it meant in the words they were using in Aramaic at the time, you'll find that the first church is the red ray root chakra. And what you do and what he tells them is you're not living your life right. You're living this way. You're not going to go to heaven. That's what happens when you unbalance that red ray root chakra, and how to unbalance it by eating of the tree of life. If you do these things, you get to go to heaven. And they have a highlight there to let you know that the words that you're reading mean something different. And the highlight says, let him who has the ears to hear, let him who has the eyes to see, let him who has the knowledge to know, the wisdom to know. Highlight, 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 saying this information that I'm telling you here is a secret. There is something within this. It's esoteric. It's not just the physical words that you're reading on the page. That's why they kept it for 2,000 years, because it's veiled and it's hiding how to balance your chakras and go to heaven. In Revelations, in the Bible, in the letters to the churches. You want more proof? Let's go back to Moses. When Moses went back and was talking to the Pharaoh, and he said, you have to do these things and let my people go. And he said, otherwise, the God of Israel is going to bring the plagues upon you. Originally, there were 7 plagues of Moses from God, not 10. They added 3 later. There was 7 chakras, rainbow bridge, 7 chakras. Look at the very first chakra and look at the red ray root chakra and the archetype. And if you don't balance it, what is it that he had to do in the first plague and he didn't do it? And the Hebrews all did what God told them to do, so they didn't get punished. Go all the way through the plagues and you'll find that it's the 7 chakras once again being encryptedly told to you in the story of Moses, who is the same Christed character of the Christ oil that they're teaching you about. Okay. You can look these up. I know this. I've been interpreting these for you people on my podcast for a long time. I'm not the only one saying this. This is not something that I think. This is something that I know. Okay. The emerald tablets of Thoth, whatever you call them, Thoth, whatever you know him as. Thank you for that. Look at that. Boom, lights streaming. Thank you very much for that, right? Thank you, Red Rock. If you look at the emerald tablets, and you look at the first, 7 books, 7 tablets, guess what? It's about balancing those 7 chakras. The entire thing, the first 7 books, is about your chakras and your ascension, and you're piercing the veil and unveiling yourself to get into heaven. Okay, so if they made that up, somebody just made that up in 1928, and they claimed that it was from this guy named Thoth, who was an Atlantean, who was here a long time ago, and it was all made up, it wasn't real, Whoever did that was a freaking genius. because all of the information that is in there is the most accurate information that we have that is identical to all the other ones. So either some mad genius named Nebuchadnezzar or somebody throughout all of time has came up with the greatest fake thing to control the entire population with that actually works, weirdly, or it's actual. Either way, it actually works. Both ways, whether you believe it or you don't believe it. It actually works. So if you want to get out of here, all you have to do, stop looking in the flesh. Stop looking for a savior to come back to get you. Your savior's already been here more than 12 times. Let me say that again. Your savior has already been here more than 12 times. And every time your savior has been telling you, stop looking without, start looking within, because you are the Christ that you're looking for, because you have it in you. Everything you need is within you, within yourself. There is nothing that you need from the physical plane whatsoever, except for what is in your mind to save yourself. You want to get out of here and you want to stop being controlled by them? Stop being controlled by them and get out of here. That's it. You're sitting in an escape room that you put yourself in, and you're pretending that you don't know how to get out. You're in a room that has 4 walls and there's no windows and there's one door. That's it. And there's a key sitting on the coffee table in front of you. And you're sitting in there with a guy who keeps going, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Don't look over there. Don't look at that key. Don't go out that door either. Don't you go out that door. You open that door, there's going to be a light. And if you go into that light, it's going to zap you and it's going to put you back into this door. Don't do it. Don't go into the light. Don't open that door. Don't do any of that, because bad guys are out there. Bad guys are out there. Just sit right here. I'll tell you what you need to do. Hold on right here, because somebody told me, you know what they told me? They told me they were going to come back and get us. Okay. So what they said is all we got to do is sit here. Okay. So we sit right down here. Okay. Just so don't forget about that key. Forget about that door. We're just going to sit here and wait. Okay. We're going to sit right here. We're going to drink some beer. We're going to watch some TV. And we're just going to chill. Okay. They're coming back for us. They're coming back for us. They told us that. Listen to me. Listen to me. Focus on me. Focus on me. Listen to me. Sit right here. Sit right here. Sit right here. Yeah. Don't look at that door. Yeah. Woo. That was close, bro. You almost killed us both. You almost unalived us both. Pardon me for that. Okay. Will you tell us about the pineal gland? That is where the Christ oil, Shirley, is your pineal gland. If you look at the Eye of Horus, which people thought was the Eye of Ra on this planet for a long time, the Eye of Horus is actually showing you your third eye. That's why the eye is real big right there. It's your hippocampus. And then that little thing that's coming off of it that looks like a little punching bag is your pituitary gland. Okay. So literally all of those things are in your mind, right? So are real in the mind. Yeah. So so all of that Christ oil is in your mind. It's physically a thing that happens in your body that goes, this reality, this thing that you call reality is an illusion. It's actually not happening. You just think it is. Okay, so the trap that you're in, the escape room that you're in, is in your mind. It's a trap of the mind.
He's a friend. He's just asking what we're talking about.
Sean, how you doing? Well, we're talking about the Christ oil again. Welcome, brother. We're talking about the Christ oil and how to get out of here and how to hack this matrix. So you've created a matrix for yourself, right? To say that you have a free will is not reality. No, it is reality, Sean. You do have free will. You have complete free will. If you're thinking in the reality sense of physicality and you believe that you have controllers who own you because they think they own you and they've been telling you that they own you, then you don't have any free will because you're giving them power over you. You have free will. You've had free will from the very beginning, but they're distracting you away from that. Okay. They're making you think they own you. They're making you think they own everything. And the more you focus on them, because your focus determines your reality. So the more that you focus on them and that religion, which is politics, which is the caste system or maritime law, right? Is it okay to partake of, DMT is what it actually is, Lyndon, that is secreted in your brain in that Christ oil. So I'm not suggesting, because this is all for entertainment purposes only, TikTok. So we're just talking hypothetical. So, those other things that we can't talk about on these communist platforms, those words that have to do with certain things that grow in the ground, that are around the world. One is blue and it's a flower, and the other one looks like Santa Claus's hat. and it's red and white, and it has polka dots on it, and it grows in the dark areas of the earth. And they have, when you ingest those, they have chemicals in them that could in some ways enhance your psychic abilities and raise your vibration, or things that you can do with those by drying them out and using fire on them so that there's smoke. Yes, those things have been used on this earth in every religion to expand the consciousness of people throughout all of time. We don't have to do those things anymore because we're so close to waking up. However, there are different aids that you can use, including eating things that are good for you, and eating some of those dried fruits and meditating, doing different things that are not eating junk foods and crap things, right? Well, that explains why they put a ban on them. Yes, Crawford, that's exactly why there's a ban on cannabis and all of those chemicals, because it actually expands our consciousness. So to control the conscious level, they make all of those things illegal so that nobody can use them, and then they get in trouble if you do. And guess what? It keeps people growing slower, right? Keeps people growing slower. So they keep you into a lower vibration. Why do you think they call it high, bro? Why do you think they call it high? Okay, because you are high. You get high enough THC in your body, and your ego and your thinking mind doesn't bother you anymore, and you just sit there and you're experiencing, man. You're zoning. That's why they call it the zone. You're experiencing. So wait a minute, what was that? Can you explain to me my choice and free will are the same? Okay, so right now, am I holding you hostage in this live? Or do you have the choice and the free will to leave this live whenever you feel like it? Okay, there's free will right there. You have the free will to do whatever it is that you want to do, and you have the choice to do it. That's as simple as I can make it, right? You're trying to say that there is no free will and you don't have choice. You chose to come in here and ask me a question, my friend, and I chose to pick your question to answer. That's free will. You were born free from the time that you were born, but you're born into a system who wants you to believe that you're not. And they keep trying to remind you that you're not, that you're in a caste system, and they keep telling you that you owe them something, right? Will is said by the father choice is hold on, let me read this. By the father is the decision for your own choice to align with the father. So hold on, what is that, Leo? Do you think that you agree for parts of your life to be written? So hold on, I got to answer both of those, right? So now you're trying to quote the Bible, and you're actually quoting it not proper, by the way. And it's also a part that's been edited. You have to realize that, like, let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast. The next words have been edited so that you don't understand the rest of the thing. They tell you, for it is a human number. For it is a human number. And this number is 636. That's a wrongful translation. The actual translation in its original form was, let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is the number of man. And its number is 666. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. My friend, you're quoting that wrong. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's a prayer that's actually wrong. It's actually said backwards. Okay, I'm a minister, my friend, of 4 different religions, and I am a theologian. I've spent my entire life since I was 8 years old studying religion and philosophy and spirituality. Okay, so you're quoting that wrong. Maybe you're talking to your phone and your phone just typed it that way. Okay, so here, look in Matthew, okay? Look in Matthew, and you'll find a verse in Matthew where Jesus is talking to Matthew, and it's not, I always get it wrong, it's Matthew, I don't remember what it is, Matthew 8 or something like that. Look at Matthew and start reading Matthew, and you'll hear that in there Jesus says to him, my friend, he says, and God says to you that what you sow on earth, I shall too sow in heaven. What you reap on earth, I shall too reap in heaven. Okay, that means as below, so above. That means you have free will. What you do on earth, whatever that is, I will make so in heaven. Not do as I say, not a caste system where God is in charge and you're beneath God and you have to obey God and you have to worship God, because Jesus was teaching you that you don't have to worship anyone, that you don't have to obey anyone, that God knows who you are and God loves you unconditionally. And Jesus was teaching you that the God of Israel and that Bible and that thing was not the true God of the universe, and that was taken out of there too.
So, an edited version.
So you're actually quoting an edited version.
A controlled version.
You're probably quoting from the New International Version, NIV. If you're quoting the NIV version, that's been edited. You can look that up and compare it. There are people that have done that, and they're showing that on the internet, that the New American Version or the New International Version, even going back to the King James Version, KJV, that was from the 1500s, and that was even edited from the older version. So depending on the version that you're saying, my friend, you're going to get a different text that's been edited. Even though in the Bible it says that you can't add or subtract anything from this Bible, you can't edit this Bible or you will be in trouble with God. And then Constantine took 68 books out of it. Okay, so look into that yourself, bro. You need to really pay attention. So I go to the original book. You have a copy of the original book? I would like to see that, because if it doesn't have the 68 books in it and it's not exactly the one from Ethiopia, you don't know what you're talking about. You're looking at a book that they're printing, and you should open that book up and see when it was published. And then look at that. If that book wasn't published about 2,000 years ago, you don't have the original book, my friend.
I'm muting.
Okay. So you need to go and look at that. So let's move on. Let's go back to talking to people who are having thoughts on DMT already. Or is that DM?
Okay, we're not talking about drugs.
MDA. Yeah, we're not talking about those anymore. I think that, I don't know if you are aware of this, but the more you ask me these questions, and then even if I read your question out loud, I'm going to get dinged by this platform that doesn't like us talking about spirituality or that kind of thing. So I'm not going to be talking about that anymore. So please, if you want to talk about those things, you have to email us and talk to us privately when we're not on these platforms, where we can actually talk and say things a little bit more openly. We have a Zoom that we're going to be putting together, a Zoom class or a Zoom meeting, a couple of them, because we're in Australia. And so we're going to do one for like the Americas and the time zones there, and then Europe and the time zones there, and then everybody else that are kind of on our time zone here in Australia, where we're going to have Zoom meetings where we can actually have conversations like this and not get in trouble with algorithms while I'm on the live. Okay. So to pay you to have your conversation, no, Sean, that's going to be a free Zoom meeting that people can come on to do that. You need to get out of your third dimensional thinking, my friend, and you need to move into a different mindset. You're in a mindset of danger, and you're in a mindset of fear, and everything that you're doing is suspect, and you're misquoting things to somebody who has spent his entire life actually researching that. So I actually have pieces of paper that say I know what I'm talking about. So in your world where you have to have pieces of paper to say that you know what you're talking about, I have those pieces of paper, and I can tell that you don't. I'm not trying to be offensive to you, but when you misquote something like that, then that's annoying, right? So I apologize, right, for that, because I don't want to have to push you out of the thing, but you're like saying things that you're just coming from a place of fear, my friend. Did you end up booting him?
Yeah. I didn't boot him, I muted him. So he's
okay. So you're in there.
He's just distracting us from everything.
Yeah. So I apologize to everybody that is asking actual questions, right? What's the true Lord's Prayer? The true Lord's Prayer, you can look it up, was close, but he was saying, when he said it, I started saying it, right? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Okay, so that part is right, but he was saying, hallowed be thy name, or something like that. That's wrong. It's hallowed be thy name. And the modern one, it is, your will be done on heaven, your will from heaven to earth. And it's backwards. And that's what Jesus was trying to teach. But they don't tell you the prayer that way. They don't tell you the prayer that you're supposed to. There's actually a video out, and I don't know the Aramaic, or I would actually give it to you. There's a video, I'll have to find it. If you look at my page, Leonard O'Neill, and it might be on Merlin and Maeve, where we repost them, There's one where the guy actually reads the Aramaic of what Jesus was actually saying, and it's nothing that's printed in the modern Bible that you have. And he translates the words from Aramaic into modern English today and tells you what it was that he was saying. And even that prayer of Our Father has been changed to be backwards to the caste system of what your will in heaven is what our will in heaven on earth is. And that's why I brought up to him, if you read the book of Matthew, you'll see that Jesus was telling him the opposite, that God doesn't say, my will in heaven will be your will on earth. God was saying to him, your will on earth will be the will of heaven. So we are supposed to create the new heaven and earth, because we create the new earth, and then God makes the heaven what we created the earth. So even the rabbis from the Hebrews, because I had a conversation about that where we were debating this, and the rabbi was taking the devil's advocate. He was playing God and talking as God. And we were asking questions. God, why are we here? God, what are we supposed to be doing? And the final thing that he said was, here's what's happening here. I have given you a house, and you're supposed to make a home out of it so that I may move in it. Okay, so that's not do as I say. That's not as above, so below. That's as below, so above, as within, so without, not as above, so below, or as without, so within. Okay, so they've taken that context and flipped it over so that there's a caste system where there's one person in charge and everybody else is below them, and there's these stations, right? Archangel, angel, Nephilim, stations, humans, way, 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 way down here. Humans, way down, fell, way down. You're nobody, you're nothing, you're way down. That's what they're teaching you. Okay, that's just not true. And when you get to these things, like these ancient texts, like the story of Adapa, which is the most ancient scroll in the history of the world, that all these other religions, when you read the different stories of Noah and Adam and Eve and all of that, came from that story, which is a Mesopotamian scroll that's not even owned by the Mesopotamians. They say it's from a culture that came before them. And in that story, they tell you the story. That's where you get that story of the archons. And people are saying the archons are bad and evil. They're not. Archon created the Ajiji, and the Ajiji created the Anuna, where you get that word Anunnaki from, okay? The Anunna are you, me, and everyone else, my friend. The Archons are archangels. They created the Ajiji, that's the angels. The Ajiji got jealous because they didn't want to work here anymore. We need to create somebody new. So the Archons created a new angel, Anunnaki. Ki is energy, like the Japanese word ki or the Chinese word chi means life force energy. Anunna meant new ones. They created new life force energy like God and sent them down to earth to take care of the earth. Me, you, everyone here, you're an angel of the creation. But then they say, no, that's not what that meant. The archons were third dimensional constructs, came in a spaceship because they wanted gold. And then, no, wait, it wasn't them. They created the Anunnaki who came to earth who wanted gold, and they created the human race. They even changed that. Okay, Zechariah Sitchin in 1948, who didn't understand how to read that language, saw the word Anu and realized that Mesopotamia was in a certain place in the desert, and next to them there was a border of hundreds of miles, almost 1,000 miles, by a country there that were called was called Arcadia. They were Arcadian. They were actually Greeks. And they had a god called Anu. So he saw that word Anu and said it must be the word Anu, must be the god Anu. Ki came to earth. He forgot about the word Na, silent letters, don't know, threw them out, and said the god Anu came to earth. And then he made up 6 books, and he lied and said that the Anunnaki, the god Anu, came to earth to mine gold and created the human race. Nowhere in those scrolls does it say anything about mining gold or creating the human race at all. Okay, the people who were created were the Anunna. And it says that. So if he's right and the god Anu came, then who did they create? Well, Giorgio Tsoukalos in History Channel said, the god Anu came down to earth, so he was in a spaceship and he was an alien. And then in 2015, he reiterated that when he was filming again, and this time he said, Anunnaki means those from the heavens came. Now it's an entire species of people flying here in an armada. They came down to Earth and they just propagated for the History Channel and Disney to make a bunch of money, propagated the story that Zecharia Sitchin wrote about the scroll, and the actual translation of the scrolls by the actual scholars say that that's all a lie and made up, and the word was Anunna and Ki. And that meant those who were like God came because they were the new angels. And that is us. That is you. That is me. And that entire story was an allegory in and of itself as it is. And that's the oldest story on the face of the earth that 8 religions on this earth are actually based on. Okay? And I tell you truly, because it's true, you can look it up, and people are starting to realize it. I'm not the only one talking about this. There's a man by the name of Matthew LaCroix. You can look him up. And he's actually discovered the most oldest city in the history of the world that belongs to those people that might have been Atlanteans, that Atlantis was an entire global society, not just a city, not just one city. Thank you, Sharon, for that. Love that. Freaking whole universe right there, right? Love that. So he's discovered the most ancient city, and he's uncovering information that is spiritual information. He just wrote a book, and he just dropped the book, and there's documentary coming out, and he's been on podcasts in the last month, and he's talking about, guess what? There's this information that was dumped onto this earth over and over and over again in every society. And I've discovered what it means and what it is. And guess what it is? It's the Christ oil and how to get out of here, how to balance your chakras and how to get out of here. I'm not the only one talking about this. I'm not the only one who's seeing this. There's people out there in the world, many, many millions of people that are seeing this and realizing this because they stopped looking where those people told them to look. And that was, look for the scroll, look for the scroll, look for the scroll, look for a scroll. And they stopped doing that. And they started looking at them. What are these people telling us? Instead of where's the scroll, where's the scroll, where's the scroll, and who copied what scroll? What is the scroll saying that everybody wrote? And I've been saying that my entire life, okay? And I wrote a book about it, okay? I wrote a book about it, all right? And that is called The Reality About Reality, Returning to the Old Ways, okay? You guys can look that up by me, Leonard O'Neill. I'm not the only one to talk about it, or the Christ oil. There's another book that came out in the 1940s, and it's called God, Man, the Bible Made Flesh. And if you've ever taken a theological or been to a theological college, you know what I'm talking about because they're teaching it today, at least in the Americas. They're teaching that book in there as something that needs to be paid attention to. And if you look at the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, guess what? They're telling you the same thing. If you look at the Corpus Hermeticum, which is the book that was written by Hermes Trismegistus, he was also talking about it. And if you look at the Bible itself, I just gave you that, just Revelations alone in the Christian Bible, it's talking about it. If you look at the Hebrew Bible, the Bible of Moses, the book of Moses is telling you about it. The Exodus is about the balancing of your chakra to get out of here. Okay, it's in every religion. Even the Vikings talked about it in their own way with the story of Thor coming down to heaven, or from heaven, from Elysium, from that heaved up place that's in your head, coming down from Valhalla, coming down to earth. They all talk about the chakras. How many chakras are there? 7. How many worlds are there in the Viking pantheon? And the rainbow bridge that you have to cross to go to heaven. That means you have to balance yourself to go to heaven. If you don't balance yourself and you're self-serving, you will not be able to make it to heaven. Why is that? Because they knew that evil self-serving people can only go halfway through the 6th density and then they are stuck. Okay? They're stuck there and they can't go through the density any further, and they have to repent of their ways. That's a nautical term. Thank you very much for that. But you have to repent your ways and become in service to others, and then you can start your ascension again. So even the Vikings from thousands of years ago knew about it. Every religion on this earth, you can look up Shiva and what Shiva did, Osiris and what Osiris did. These people in these religions were Christed, and they were doing all of that stuff, okay? Can you say happy birthday to Kip? Kip, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Santa Claus on his day off says happy birthday to Kip. ho, 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 and happy birthday, Kip. Ho, 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 ho. Right? I don't know how old Kip is, but happy birthday, Kip. Thanks for tuning in and wanting me to say hi, right? So I love doing that. Whenever people ask me to do that, I do that. Even if you guys are just like, oh, okay, see if he'll be stupid. I love doing that. Okay, so I'm going to have to wrap up for the day because our kids are coming over and they'll be here in about a half an hour. So I need to get off of here. So I'm not sitting here talking about this kind of stuff and while the kids are trying to yell and scream and have fun and play video games, okay? So I love you guys. Wait, can you talk about the Rainbow Bridge? Okay, let me do the Rainbow Bridge real quick. The Rainbow Bridge is the 7 chakras. If you look at a rainbow that is in the air, right? When the light goes through the rain, when the sun's out and the light shines through the rain and you look at it, what do you see? You see the color spectrum. It's inverted from your color spectrum. It has purple down here and it goes all the way up to red. Okay, you don't see the white spectrum that's there because you can't notice that. So when you look at the crown chakra, right, people think that, violet, purple, purple, violet. Okay, so your chakras, the color coding of your chakras is the exact rainbow that you see in the sky that's inverted. Okay, if you look at the aurora borealis in the north and in the south of the planet, at certain times when the sun's rays shine through the ionosphere, it shines through the ionosphere, but it doesn't make a perfect rainbow because but it floats and it has all the colors of the rainbow and the light spectrum coming through. Okay, so Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge, was when you would cross over from this life to go to Valhalla, their version of heaven. You would have to cross over Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge. And the way you crossed over Bifrost was you had to balance your chakras. If you were in balance, you could walk across the bridge to heaven, and the bridge was rainbow. And if you were not in balance, you wouldn't be able to walk on the Rainbow Bridge to make it to heaven. That you can look that up. It's in the Viking religion. Okay, so you can see Brooke pinned the weekly Zoom discussion we're setting up for people. Who is the god of the Abrahamic religion in worships? The name of the god. You need to get away from third dimensional constructs. Okay, the name of God is a construct and it usually means different things. If you look at that, it's Adonai, okay? All of the Hebrews, all the way back to the time of Jesus and before that, called the God Adonai. And that word was an Aramaic word that actually meant I am, okay? So that was the name. And you can look that up. You can ask Jewish people to this day, they'll tell you that, okay? So the word for God was Adonai, and that means I am. And then you have all these other words that they're telling you, that Yahweh and Jehovah and all of these. Those are just words that people use when they translate it into a different place. What happens, and this is what theologians know, right? Yahweh, that's another one. And that one means I am. That's just another translation of the word Adonai into another language that means I am. That's the Om sound, right? When you go, you're saying, right? When you inhale and exhale, that's the Om, that's you saying Yahweh. Okay. So you have to realize that these names, just like Jesus is the name that we call that character now, but in his time, they called him Yahshua. Okay. And then when you translate that word into Greek, all of a sudden it sounds like Jesus. The Greek word for Yahshua is spelled with a J. Okay, not a Y, because that sound was different to them. Here's an example. My name is Leonard. That means Lionheart. Okay. Leo, L-E-O-N-A-R-D. The N-A-R-D is Middle German. Okay, so which is Middle English, is Middle German, and it means heart. Leo is the Greek word for lion. Okay, Leo. We get the word lion because the Greek word was spoken by French people who say lion instead of Leo. They say lion. And the way they spell that word lion is L-I-O-N, lion, meaning Leo. The Greek said Leo, the French say Lion, and then we have that word in English, and we changed where we had the vowel sounds, and we say lion instead of Lion. So the word Leo is the word lion, spoken by French people and translated by people saying it wrong in English. So it evolved into the word lion that we use now. But its base root, if you look up the etymology, is that. Okay, so my name, if I were Greek, would be Leonidas or Leonidas, which means Lionheart. And if I'm Latin, it's Leonardo. Okay, that doesn't mean that those are different names. So with Jesus, when people say Jesus isn't even his real name, they're just lying about that. His real name was Yahshua. Jesus actually means Yahshua. Okay. It's just that Yahshua was in Aramaic, and Aramaic translated into, say, Yiddish, or translated into one of the other languages, Swahili or so, or then maybe into Coptic, but it was actually translated from the Aramaic to Greek, then to Latin, then to English. And because of that, we now say Jesus, not Yahshua, not Jesus. That was the more Greek word, Jesus. And then we say Jesus. Now, praise Jesus. Praise Jesus. We say Jesus. That's a English translation of the Greek word Jesus, which is a translation of the Aramaic word Yoshua or Yoshua. Okay, so you have to realize the etymology of things, and things get lost in translation. So people are spending their time yelling at one another online, saying that Jesus is not the name of that character and he was never called that. And that is his name, just like my name is Leonard. And if someone says to me Leonardo, because people have said it, I will answer to it, because that's just another language saying my same name. Or if somebody says Leonidas, I'm going to look at them. Why? Because that's just Greek saying my name. Okay, so you have to realize that even your name, like for instance, if your name is James, okay, if Peter was here, he would be translating into Irish because he was doing it yesterday. If your name is James and you're an American, and you're in English, your name is James, in Irish your name is Seamus. That's how that name is spoken in Irish, Seamus. So when you see people's names who are Seamus, that's just James is his name, but it's an Irish version of the same name. Okay, so Yosha is what Jesus is spoken in Irish. Okay, because I speak Irish. I'm not 100% fluent. Peter's better than I am because he's from there, but I speak Irish. So you guys don't realize that those names just are translated, okay, from one language to another, and that's how they're spoken. The same thing happens with the spirituality, the religions themselves. When people in the past, and any theologian can tell you this, or historian, when people in the past get a hold of a scroll, okay, and they read the scroll and they go, wow, this scroll is identical to our story, they're going to put that scroll with their story, but they don't want their people to get confused, so they erase the God name and put their own God name into the story. Okay, so when they do that, because they want it to be their God, they do the same thing over in Africa today. When they're translating scrolls, they'll change the name that says God into Osiris or something that's Egyptian. Okay, that doesn't mean that now that God was older than the other God. They changed the word for their God and put it in for their people to understand that stuff. And sometimes it's done nefariously because they want people to think that their religion was older than other religions. We can't know the answer to that 100%, but we see in history that people do that when they get a hold of things. And that's why Zecharia Sitchin thought that those people found the word Anu and borrowed it from the Greeks and put it into their culture. But it's usually the other way around. Usually when they take a word and it's Anu from a god, they'll erase the god name and put their god over it for their people. But he didn't know that because he wasn't a theologian. Had he been a theologian, he would have been a little bit more educated, and he wouldn't have just went Anu came to earth and not translated the words properly. And that's what he did, okay? So you guys have to realize that. That's why I'm here trying to teach you guys, because I've spent my life learning these things, right? And I'm also speaking 28 different languages, okay? So I don't learn them all. I don't have them all. I'm not completely fluent in all 28 languages, but I'm learning 28 languages, okay? Because of that. I taught myself how to read Middle French because at one time I was researching Nostradamus, and I wanted to make sure that the people who were translating Nostradamus and his quatrains were actually translating it properly into English and not taking liberties with the language and changing what he said. No word of a lie. That's the nerd that I am. Okay. All right, guys. I love you. I have to get off of here. Like I said, the kids are coming over and they're going to be loud, and we got to spend time with the kids. So I don't know if I'll be back live today. Probably not. Tomorrow is the American Super Bowl, so I will be watching the Super Bowl tomorrow. I might be live after the Super Bowl, but I won't be live before it because the Super Bowl starts at 10:30 my time because I'm in New South Wales, Australia. If you guys don't know what that is, that's the Gridiron Championship from America, American football. But if you guys are want to get to the Zoom call, right? How do we hear about the Zoom call? Please send us an email at Merlin and Maeve at gmail.com. And we're actually going to try and get 3 different Zoom calls going so that we can cover most of the planet, right? So we're going to do one for the Americas that'll be in your guys' time zones so that you guys over there, depending on what time of the day, we can make sure that you guys are off work on a day that would be in the evening for all of you in the United States and all of South America and Canada and all that. Then we're going to do another one for Europe. So it'll be all UK and Europe time. And then we're going to do another one for the rest of the world, which is closer to our time here in Australia anyways. So we'll probably be doing 3 separate ones. But if you guys are like night owls or early morning people, you can get into one of the other Zoom calls if you want. And those calls will not be charging anyone for. They'll just be a call on Zoom where we can have adult conversations and say things we can't talk about on a platform that is being watched by an algorithm that's going to kick us off the live because we said the wrong word or we talked about something for too long. Okay, so we can actually have adult conversations and give you guys more information and answer your questions, and then you guys can talk about things and say things that you might want to be saying, and it won't be in a public setting like this. It'll be in a setting with maybe 10 or 15 people that we can all sit and talk, okay? And then you guys can ask me questions like this and I can answer them truly for you without having to worry about whether or not I was going to get reported by some commie reporting to the Politburo to make sure that I get kicked off the live because I said a word that they didn't approve, okay? All right, guys, I love you guys, right? Yeah, share this out, follow us. See, we even have to write down in code because if they won't let us pin that. Right, so you can see that there, right? Share us out, follow us, please. We'll follow you back. When a whole bunch of you guys follow us, I try to follow you all back, but they only allow me to follow a certain amount of people, and then they tell me I followed too many people too often and I have to wait. But I will get to you guys eventually. I'll get to all of you and follow you back. It just takes a little bit of time to do that, right? So make sure that you guys do that. Follow us. We'll follow you back. And then email us at Merlin and Maeve. Thank you very much for that, Tara. Merlin and Maeve at gmail.com. And we have other courses and things that we do. I'm a Reiki master teacher. I'm a four-time minister in 4 different religions, 5 if you count the spirituality of Reiki. My wife is also a Reiki master teacher. We teach that. Okay. We also teach psychic abilities. We also teach like just about everything. We do spiritual coaching, spiritual life coaching, all of that stuff. So if you guys are interested in any of that and you want to talk to us, not on the Zoom calls, we can do it one-on-one. We're also psychics, and so we also do readings, okay? Card readings or regular psychic readings. If you guys want some Reiki healing, we do that as well. Email us, tell us what you're interested in, and we'll get that information as soon as we get the Zoom calls coordinated to the time zones, which we should have by the end of today or tomorrow. Then we'll send out this stuff to you and let you know what days and times that we're going to do them. And remember that I'm in New South Wales, Australia. So when we give dates and times, if it's for your specific area, we'll let you guys know, because you guys will have like a 3-hour range, 3 to 5 hour range. Like if you're Hawaii to New York, you guys will know that it'll be on this day for you and that in this time range for you guys. Same thing in the UK, right? You guys will get European time zones. We'll do the same thing for you. And then Australia, we have like 3 or 4 time zones over here, just like America does, because this island that we're on here is as big as that North American continent. You guys just don't know that because we're down under. All right, guys. I love you guys. Have a good day. I'll probably see you tomorrow after the Super Bowl. If not, it'll be on your Monday, my Tuesday when I go live. But I'll try to go live after the Super Bowl tomorrow. I don't know that I'll be able to go live before it, but if I get up early enough, I might. Right? So follow us and hit that bell champions, follow us and hit that bell so that when we go live here on Merlin and Maeve, you guys know about it and you can pop in and ask me questions, okay? I love you guys. Have a good day, all right? I'm going to see you guys later, and think for yourselves. Ask questions of everything. Don't believe anything anyone tells you. Look it up for yourself, and don't even believe AI, because it's giving you the average amount of information on that subject, not the actual fact on that subject. The only way you're ever going to know anything for real is to look it up yourself. And even if you Google stuff, read more than one site to see what that stuff is, okay? So you need to do that stuff for yourself. Do the due diligence. Thank you very much, Todd, for that. Thank you. I love you, brother. Thank you for that. Okay. So make sure that you question everything. Make sure that you look it up. And I'll leave you what I always do on my podcast. I say, don't believe a word I've said. Look it all up for yourself. Go down that rabbit hole, because that's going to be the beginning of the end of your conditioning. And you're controlled by those people. They can't control you if you're awake. They can't control you if you're thinking for yourself. They need you to not think for yourself so they can tell you what to wear, what to eat, when to go to sleep, how much you owe them, and when to do everything. And because they want you to. What to shop for, when to shop for it, where to shop for it, how much to pay for it. They want to control all of those aspects of your life. And they're doing it if you let them. Or they're not if you don't let them. Okay. And it's up to you, because your focus determines your reality. Remember that. All right. I love you guys. Have a great day. I'll see you guys next time. Okay.